Hi, favored ones. Welcome to Soul Talk. This is a very special episode with Dr. Alfonso Lagaya. For this month, for January, the theme is Man of Glory, also known as Man of Word. And Dr. Lagaya, I've known him, oh my gosh, ilan years na ba? He's treating he was treating my dad before, and I got to know him, and I really respect his values and his beliefs and the way he chose his lifestyle. And he's here right now with us in Soul Talk, and he's very generous. He's going to do a talk on medical science and spirituality, and I hope that you also gain wisdom from his insights, his years of experience, and everything that he shares during this conversation. Hi, Dr. Al. How are you?
Hi, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for inviting me here. And I think for all the guests, we are birds of the same feathers. We are flocking together. Or better still said, we are teleconferencing each other. Modern na tayo ngayon eh. Kaya I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy you're here as well. So let me share screen, because of course it's also good to have visuals while we do this conversation. Ah, all right. So this is the background of Dr. Lagaya. As you all know, as you can see, it's really quite long. Ang dami talagang experience. And one thing I love about it is the integration of science and spirituality. O, di ba? Maybe you could also say something about this, Dr. Al.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would explain it all better. How come as a medical doctor you chose this kind of path? You're more into the holistic and alternative side of medicine right now, if not Eastern.
exactly. So the nutshell of my speaker's profile is only showing I'm a medical albularyo. So a while ago we were discussing it's nice for us to have faith in our lives as taught to us where ano nakamulatan natin, whatever religion we're into, we're open to such. Pero at the same time, we find a lot of truth of what the faith has been teaching us has some scientific basis. So I can talk about the other sides of science, pero since from the medical side, I can hone our discussion more on the medical. And if ever you have any questions, let's say, habang nakikinig ka, sumakit ang ulo mo, sumakit ang bewang mo, then probably we can also have a segue to that and I can share with you the tips on how to do it, especially now during this pandemic. Kasi meron tayong stay at home ruling, stay at home unhealthy lifestyle. So during that time, ilan na sa atin ang nag-gain ng weight? Yung dati 32 ang waistline, ngayon naging 36 na. So ganun nakakatakot. And can we bring it back? Siguro pwede kapag nagkaroon na ng leeway sa ating restrictions and we can do our exercise again, go back to the gym, all of it will pour in place. Pero for now, there is some kind of a purging sa ating buhay. What is essential is coming in. And I think there's also a blessing. We all find blessings in everything. And this pandemic probably is a blessing for if you realize it. Siyempre, nakakaawa. Nakita natin yung mga restaurants around, yung usually sa neighborhood ninyo na dati very progressive, very prosperous sila, tapos ngayon biglang nagsara, nasa na yung mga tao dyan, nasa na yung mga cook, nasa yung waiter, nasa yung mga businessman. It's so distressing to see it. Pero yung probably we are purging. Para bang hindi pwedeng tayo ng trabaho na hindi tayo naliligo. So this purging is when we have to cleanse ourselves. And that, para mas mabango tayo pag humarap ulit tayo for the next day. So, with this, just to show you.
That.
Yeah,
I believe in that as well.
Correct. Pareho naman tayo. Kaya nga sabi ko nga, ang ganda ng grupo ko. Talagang why will I be talking here in front of you? Eh, you're already a people of wisdom. So I was reviewing yung mga past, asynchronously, I was reviewing yung past YouTube at ang gaganda ng mga laman ng sinasabi. Ang ganda ng lineup ng mga guests mo, Michelle. Kaya with this, I'm very much honored to be part of the team. And now let's start the ball rolling. Just to nutshell is I'm a doctor of medicine, but I'm also into acupuncture. So we're merging two worlds together. Kaya makikita yung logo dyan, that is a yin and yang, which some of you may know already, which is a balance of life, and I will discuss more about it. And that is what we mean by Oriental healing. Pero there's also the caduceus, which is the symbol for Western medicine na pinauso na Hippocrates, Aristotle, Galileo. So yan yung other aspect. If you merge the two worlds together, you're going to have a better batting average to make your patient well. Now, whether it's really the soul-searching thing or the answer to the pain that we're experiencing right now, both of them are the same. Sabi nga sa isang statement, from one thing, you learn 1,000 things. And that is what I will share with you today. So shall we have the first slide, Michelle? So
Beautiful.
yes, so for this whole talk, medical sciences, spirituality, just for you to have an overview of what we expect to find. So we will be discussing about that yin and yang I made mention a while ago. So is there a yin and yang in the day and the night, the man and the woman, on the seasons, etc. Now we have to also look into the health disorders. How did it happen? And we have to look into the neurovascular lymphatic system. Para bang traffic? How will your business grow if we have traffic? Paano darating yung ating goods? Paano darating yung ating mga empleyado kung na-traffic sila sa SLEX, sa NLEX, sa EDSA, at kung saan dyan? So we need to open up these channels para nga maganda ang flow ng goods, at the same time the removal of the waste products. And then there's also the yin and yang of mind-body interaction. Going to the issue which I'm going to ask all of you right now. Why is the brain placed at the head? But ginawa ng Diyos, who is that divine architect, that divine engineer, that placed the brain sa ulo natin, which is a dangerous site. Isang sniper shot yan, o kaya nagbibisikleta ka, mahulog ka, mabago kang ulo mo, that's dangerous. But how come God placed it there? And at the same time, how come the reproductive organs are on the lower part? Could it be better in a higher position? So these are the things which is common sense to tickle our brain. Bakit nga ba? Gano'ng katalino ang Diyos at ginawa niyan lahat yan. We'll try to reach out to His knowledge as much as we can today. And through that, it's answerable through the biomechanical functional characteristics of the body parts. And through this, we will come out with Oriental healthy lifestyle on bawal magkasakit. Kaya for us and our relatives, our loved ones, sana po ma-address natin ito na hindi tayo magkakasakit if we follow a certain guidelines to this. Pero with time constraint, this usually takes me mga 2 days of discussion. I'm always asked by before the pandemic, every week I have a discussion with the American doctors and nurses. They come to the Philippines. In fact, it's held at New World Hotel. That comes every week. Pero ngayon with the pandemic, that closes. Pero just imagine that these guys are paying sa organizer, hindi sa akin, sa organizer, $325 to attend this seminar. And the topic is about Oriental healthy lifestyle. Kaya for all of us, if you listen to it, you gain a $325, 50,000 pesos worth of knowledge if you listen intently. Ngayon, kapag hindi nyo sinunod, meron kayong penalty. Sisingilin kayo ni Michelle ng 15,000 pesos pag hindi nyo sinunod itong ating tips on Oriental healthy lifestyle. And because of time constraint, I will just focus on one, which is the exercises. So next slide, please. Yin and Yang. What does that mean? It only shows that people are opposite and we need to work harmoniously. Kaya nga ang mag-asawa, how can you find a good partner, a good jowa, a good spouse? We hear that in the news, may mga showbiz, mga discussion diyan. Tapos mamaya loving sila, mamaya konti nagkakahiwalay, tapos mamaya magkakaroon na naman ng relasyon. So these are, bakit nagkakahiwalay? Hindi ba pwede ginawa na lang ng Diyos na pag pinagsama, let no man put asunder? Hindi eh. Nag-aaway palagi eh. Sa showbiz, nakikita natin yan, ba't sila naghihiwalay? So that only shows that, pagtatanungin ko si Michelle, ano ba ang ideal man mo? If you're going to ask all of you, give me 5 traits of your ideal man. So lahat gwapo, makisig, may responsable, mayaman, mga ganong mga ibang trivia of paano anong itsura ng jowa natin. Tapos kaya ang mapapangasawa natin. Pero something to think about it is there's no perfect man. Kaya nga ang joke diyan, yung 5 traits diyan are distributed in 5 different bodies. Huwag mo pagtatagpuin yung 5 na yon, mag-aaway-away yan. So ganun din for us, if you look at our personality and we try to merge with another, which is probably the opposite of our own personality, and we try to live harmoniously, and that is the challenge that we have in life. The challenge is quite something for us to ask, how come people are suffering? If God is that good, how come He allows people to suffer? And yung pala, we asked for it. Siguro nga for those who believe in the reincarnation side, whether that's true or not, we believe or not, on all religion, sabihin natin na before we were born, we were talking with the boss at sinasabi niya, gusto ko, ito ang buhay ko. Ito gusto ko, ito ganyan, ito ganyan. Halimbawa, sige, yan pala ang gusto mo eh. Halimbawa, basketball. You want to become a good basketball player. Kung palitan natin ng rules. I give you, you are 5 players, I give you 10 players, 5-5. I give you 10 balls each one and I give you 10 rings. Pag ginawa yan sa game na yan, hindi ba boring? Walang ka-challenge. And that's the reason, wag, isang bola lang, pag-aagawa ng 10 players at isang goal na isushoot natin. And that is the skills that we have to develop. That's the problem-solving thing. And that's the reason why we are here in life. We are a little bit challenged. Kaya nga isang tinitingnan ko, what would happen if the Philippines becomes very rich? What if the next day they would claim, uy, may nakuhang oil sa West Philippine Sea o kaya sa Burnham Rice, meron pala mga minerals diyan. That's going to be something amazing. Parang each one of us, uy, nanalo ka sa loto. You had millions of pesos worth of loto. And then what happened next? We became so complacent about it. Tingnan niyo yung mga bansa, the very rich. Halimbawa, for those who already went to Saudi, mapapansin ninyo, mayaman sila kasi mayaman ng bansa, pero mag-ingat ka tumawid ng kalye, pwede kang bungguin at kasalanan mo, ba't ka tumawid ng kalye? So, if that is the case, then you tend to become very rich, but you tend to become not as striving as us. Kaya ang Pinoy, magaling yan international image kasi masipag tayo and we are that creative. Halimbawa sa mga nurses, pagbarado ang IV tubing ng pasyente, yung sa swero, pagbarado yan, may ginagawa ang mga nurses na naalis yung bara, simpleng pitik-pitik, o kaya ini-squeeze yung tubing, tapos mamaya wala na yung bara. Yung mga puti, kapag nakitang barado, change unit. Ganun sila kagastos. And because of the limited resources we had when we were growing up, naging creative tayo, mas nagiging matalino tayo. At ganun din ang nangyari sa ating buhay ngayon. If nakakuha tayo ng langis sa ating property, siguro gaganda ang buhay natin, our children will also prosper, pero kumusta yung ating apo, particularly our apo sa tuhod? They will be living with a silver spoon and hindi na ganun ka-challenging. Kaya ngayon, ginagawa natin ngayon, basketball, isang bola lang, isang goal, pag-aagawa ng 10 tao, and the skills that you will develop makes us more intelligent, makes us more strong, which makes us more skillful. At ganun din sa ating medical science na to, with the things that we have in the white thing, which may represent the opposite of the black thing, and within that side, yin and yang, merong that represents the stimulus for us to go for the other side. Ibig sabihin, these are things that balance our life. Among the engineers, meron tayong tinatawag na sine wave. Among the accountant, meron tayong tinatawag na balancing of the books. And this makes everything in harmonious relationship. That's the only essence of this. Sa mga medical field, meron tayong tinatawag na fight or flight. Tatakbo ka ba? Or lalaban ka? Or matutulog ka na lang? That is the balance of this. Next slide, please. Looking at yin and yang, we can also see that in other culture, meron din silang yin and yang. This is the cross. Alam naman natin yan, particularly Jerusalem cross. But kung pinili yung Jerusalem cross, hindi yung Christian cross, kasi balanse siya eh. The vertical and the horizontal. It only shows that in everything we do, we have this verticality and horizontality. Kaya yung ating building, Dapat yung position natin ngayon, all of us, we are now in a vertical position unless nakahilata kayo sa sofa nyo o kaya you're watching things in a comfortable lazy boy, medyo naka-incline. Pero if you will see how the Indian yogi, Japanese Zen masters, Shaolin monk pray, they're always in a vertical position. And they also have that horizontal position, which now represents bakit yung mga Buddhists, they have that position na nakaganito yung kamay sa katawan nila. And that means meron tayong verticality and horizontality, and that balances our body. That can also be attributed to, next slide please, Michelle, which is the direction north, east, west, south. Oops, bakit O yung isa? Dapat iyan, di ba? So,
Okay.
north, east, west, south. Western Oriental, maybe, if that is the case. Anyway, just to show that it can also, yung symbol, the Jerusalem cross may also symbolize direction. Ano ba yung buhay natin facing the north, facing the south? Next slide, please. Or it can also represent the building trusses. So meron tayong vertical sa building natin, meron tayong pillar, horizontally and vertically to make it strong. At yan din ang ating pinag-aaralan among the engineers, the contractors, alam nila yan. Next slide, please. I said, and then yung ating pinatawag na vertical and horizontal sa mga mathematical genius around, sa mga audience natin, yan yung yin and yang. Also, kasi meron tayong x-axis and the y-axis. Yung y-axis which is the vertical and the x which is the horizontal. Pero at this point, I would like to share with you, meron tayong tinatawag na z-axis, x, y, z. And that is the three-dimensional thing of it. And I think it's the z-axis came about with the merging of the x and the y, which is a typical issue I would like to raise in our discussion now. Next slide, please. So, pag tinignan ninyo another culture, which is the Star of David, it is a combination of, next slide, combination of the cup of Venus and, next slide, please, the arrowhead of Mars. So that means the yin and yang, the masculinity and the femininity of it together. And next slide. So combining the two together makes that balance. Kung sinabi ko merong x and y, merong z-axis, it is in that z-axis in the center that life goes around it. And kayo nagkaroon nga tayo ng mga anak afterwards, and then the population grows. Next slide, please. Meron tayong among the religion is the God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Maganda rin dito kasi we would like to look at the cycle of God the Father, which is obviously the Creator. God the Son, which is the present, the current, or the thinking of how we are now, God within us. And then the Holy Spirit, which is the judge, the one that binibigyan tayo ng konsyensya. So the combination of the two, again, is the XYZ, or the yin and yang, or the Venus cup and the arrow of Mars. Pag pinakita nyo, pare-pareho ng pinagsasabi niyan. Next slide, please. And if you're going to look at the aspect of the Hindu religion, there's also that yin and yang and the creator, the destroyer, and the present, the preserver. Kaya meron tayong the God of Vishnu, the God of Brahma, and the God of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva.
Shiva.
Yes. So Shiva is if we correlate, Shiva is the destroyer, or the God of the Holy Spirit, or the creator, which is the Brahma, and the Shiva is our present, the preserver. Kaya for those na meron sa cells natin, sa katawan natin, which we will discuss after this, would be to think, sinong dadasalan ninyo pag gusto nyo lumaki ang katawan ninyo, gusto nyo tumaba, you pray to the God of Brahma or the God the Father para yung cells natin gumanda. Kung sumobra na nagkaroon tayo ng cancer cells, sinong dadasalan natin para mawala yan? It's going to be the God of Shiva or the God of the Holy Spirit. If you look at that concept, then lahat ng religion pala, pinag-uusapan yung pare-parehong ganyang aspeto. Next slide, please.
It's interesting what you're saying right now, that spirituality is really connected to medicine, which is, of course, science.
Correct. Kaya nga we appreciate what these books are telling us, whether it's the Bible, it's the Quran, it's the Torah, Ang dami ng ancient wisdom na matututunan natin na pwede naman palang gawin sa ating present na buhay. Tulad nito, if you look at our bone cells, bakit matibay yan? So, merong part na spongy, yung mga kinakain natin kapag masarap na sarap tayo sa ating kinakain na chicken, o kaya yan, tapos kinunguya yung lugar na malambot, tapos makikita natin, meron pala tayong mga bone cells. Next slide, please. Will show that we have this bone cell, yung makikita nyo, may mga pangalan dyan, forget about the name, it only shows that yung mga para bang oblong-shaped thing is the osteocytes, or tinatawag natin na bone cells. Yung mga linya-linya nakikita nyo is the blood vessels, small blood vessels, and that of the center, the haversian canal na nakikita nyo dyan, is where the major blood vessels flow. Kaya ibig sabihin, yung ating osteocyte, our bone cells, is dependent on how the blood flows, but that is only on the nourishment and the excretion of waste product. But there's an important thing also, which is the electrical impulses. Kaya kung meron tayong katawan, there is that soul within us, kaya nga soul talk tayo, what is the one that would trigger that osteocyte? Kasi it varies. Kung we have been discussing about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, we're talking about God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Itong mga osteocytes, meron din yan. Next slide, please. We'll show that osteocytes either becomes an osteoclast or a destroying cell, or an osteoblast or a growing up cell. Kaya kung gusto yung anak natin tumibay ang buto, we focus now on the creator or the osteoblast. Tapos doon, ang preserver niyan is the osteocyte that is in the neutral. Pero if nagkaroon tayo ng fracture, no, yung mga nakita natin sa x-ray, after 1 month makikita na yung fracture, merong excess doon sa gilid ng alignment ng buto. Which after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later, pag nagre-regular rehab na, naglalakad-lakad na, kusang natutunaw yung excess ng buto doon sa gilid ng fracture line. So that means the osteoclast is now coming in play hanggang sa tumibay uli ang buto natin. Next slide, please. And this is the reason why, next, click please. And if you put a force, you kita nyo may linya, it depends on the line of force that you are teaching the bone to have. Next slide, please. At makikita ninyo, ayan yung ating buto, that's the femur, yung nasa ball and socket joint ng ating hips. Yan yung mga na-fracture, yan yung pinapalitan, yung hip replacement. Next slide, please. At makikita nyo, the force is coming from the weight from above and the other movements on the horizontal aspect. Again, the aspect of verticality and horizontality. And this slide is also quite significant kasi makikita nyo, bakit may pattern? May direction, no? It's just an arbitrary direction? Is it a random thing? Or there's really something that made it align itself? At yun ang maganda dito, based on the position that you are teaching your body. Which comes to this moment. May I ask, from now until the end of my talk, pwede po ba lahat na nakikinig bawal sumandal? Imagine yourself as an Indian yogi, Japanese Zen master, Shaolin monk. And if you look at the verticality of your spine, of your vertebra, you are teaching your bone cells to become strong where it is. At kusang merong mga osteoclasts na tutunawin yung mga destroyer bones para mawala yung mga osteophytes, yung mga bone spurs na lumalabas. And that can easily be done if you just align your body where it should be aligned properly. Kaya po, from now until the end of my talk, bawal po sumandal. And just imagine how to pray just like a Hindu in the yogic position or mga Shaolin monk, ganyan sila magdasal. Next slide, please. Now, talking about the aspects of the microworld or the microcosm, mga bone cells natin, itong mga pinag-usapan natin, osteocytes, osteoblasts, osteoclasts, then meron din tayong tinatawag na influence of the environment. Kaya if you would see, meron tayong tinatawag na laughing Buddha. Nakita niyo yung tinataas yung kamay na gano'n at tumatawa siya ng malakas. Pero yung position ng laughing Buddha na yan is getting energy from the heavens, papasa sa katawan, and then pupunta sa paa, and then later on merong balik from the energy of the earth, goes back to the body and goes back to the heavens. So the synchrony of it aligns. Kaya we also have to be looking at the lines of force na didiscuss ko kanina in relation to how the gravitational pull of heavenly bodies are working on us right now. So if you're going to look at the time, now that we are discussing this during the day or asynchronously, you can watch it during the night, mapapansin nyo that the earth is our base, where we are standing right now, we are sitting right now, pero two heavenly bodies are pulling you, the earth and that of the sun, in different angles. Kaya pag titignan, there would be from sunrise at 6 a.m., which is nakasulat dito 0 hour, akit yan up to the 90-degree angle, and that is our 12 noon, or the tinatawag natin 6 hour upon sunrise, and then lulubog na yan dun sa ating 6 p.m. at sunset. But it doesn't stop there. The earth now, the sun goes underneath the earth, and two heavenly bodies are pulling us down. That is significant for the reason that trabaho tayo ng trabaho, pero dapat matulog din. We need to recharge. Ang cellphone natin, hindi pwedeng gamit ka ng gamit, dapat nire-recharge. Ganun din sa katawan natin. I remember there is a networking group na pag na-meet mo, good morning, tanghali, good morning, hapon, good morning, gabi, good morning. Eh, pag na-meet ko yan, sinasabi ko pag gabi, mag-good night ka. Kasi you can never go against nature. And everything we're talking now regarding this science is just going with nature. If you are swimming, at you are swimming in the river, and you're swimming upstream, wala ka mararating. Kasi pagod ka na ng pagod, padyak ka ng padyak, you paddle and paddle, pero wala ka mararating because you're going against the current. What if you go along with the flow, mas malayo mararating mo? Or we are with the sail. Where is the wind blowing? You just go along with the wind, and then with the sail, you can run fast, you can reach your destination. Ganun din po sa ating influence of the environment. You go along with it, and we will become a lot healthier rather than just be emphatic to say, hindi, itong gusto kong mangyari, dapat ito masunod. Hindi po, we need to respect a being which is God-given design na rin for us to be aligned with the nature. Next slide, please. If we're talking about the hours in the day, meron din po tayong days of the month. At yan yung tinatawag natin na influence ng moon, which is the 28-day cycle for the moon. Minsan po nagiging 29 or 30 sa kalendaryo. Pero pinapakita lang po that we have the new moon, we have the full moon, we have the first quarter, we have the third quarter. And it has also an effect. If the sun is pulling us out in 24 hours of the day, from daytime and nighttime, meron din po tayong epekto ng moon during this time at during new moon and full moon and everything. Kaya mapapansin niyo po may mga other religion that follows the cycle of the moon for prayers. Ang Pilipino, pag kinakasal, gusto natin maliwanag. Kasi sa baylihan, alam niyo baylihan, mga salita yun ng mga taga-probinsya, with bayli is the dance thing. So pagkakasal, lalabas na sila, ilang petromax ang kailang gamitin, pero pag maliwanag ang buwan, maganda ang evening event. Kaya gusto ng mga Pilipino papakasal during full moon. Pero the other religions, especially the Orientals, the Eastern, mga Buddhist, mga Koreans, mga Japanese, mga Hindu, mga Muslim, gusto nilang magpakasal at the new moon because tomorrow it will be a rising thing. So differences in culture, saan natin ilalagay? We just respect the belief of each one. Now we are talking about the month. Tapos na tayo sa hour of the day, the days of the month, and yung month of the year. Next slide please will show that. At yan yung sinasabi natin na meron tayong winter solstice which happens on December 21, or meron tayong tinatawag na summer solstice which is nearing June 21, dito malapit sa atin ngayon. Pero meron din tayong March 21 thing which is the balance, balance of the haba ng araw at saka ng gabi, at yun nakikita po yan. Meron ding epekto yan sa katawan natin. Kung naniniwala po kayo sa tide, ibig sabihin naniniwala kayo may epekto ang gravitational pull nito sa katawan. And you want to become prosperous, you want to become less stressed, then sundan po natin itong cycle na ito. Next slide please. And this is one example. Today is already January. Nasa na po tayo ngayon. Lumalabas po for the month of November, January, February, lumalabas po that hindi na maulan, hindi na katulad po ng panahon ng a few months ago. The rainfall is quite dry. Pero pagdating na ng June, nagsisimula ng umulan yan. Remember, August, September, the Ondoy flooding natin, it comes in that month. If you're going to look at the barometric, which is the rainfall, dry and rainy, plus the temperature, cool and hot in the Philippines, we are more, kasi malapit tayo sa equator, we're more, kasi nga tropical country tayo, we're not the temperate countries. Next slide please. will now show that the balance of this, the season will now show cool and dry. And exactly now, masarap ang timpla ng ating klima kasi it's daw cool and dry. Pagdating na ng summer months, it becomes hot and dry and sometimes it become rainy. Pero this also will show, next slide please, that the rainy season can also be divided into hot and wet and a little bit hot and a little cooler. Hindi naman that hot, pero a little cooler na kasi nga nagiging September, October kasi nag-uulan na yan. Next slide please. Next click please. So yan yung sinasabi natin, hot and rainy during this time. Kaya napaka-humid. Sa mga foreigners, pagdating nila, they always complain, oh, it's so hot in the Philippines. Tapos it's not only hot, it's very humid. Because that is what our country and that is what we are blessed on. Kaya maganda mga halaman natin all year round. Hindi tayo following the cycle of the winter, spring, summer, and fall. We always are blessed the whole day. Advantage, disadvantage, yes. Agriculturally, yes, that's good. Pero bakit hindi tayo ganun ka-prosperous? If you're going to look at it, bakit nga ba ang mga countries, look into our globe and look at the equatorial countries, lahat ng mga countries sa equator, it's not as progressive as those in the temperate countries. The US, Europe, Germany, Australia, they're very affluent. But ang Pinas, Indonesia, Africa, sa Mediterranean maybe, tapos sa ating sa Central America, halos pareho na hirap ang buhay natin. Bakit ba? Maybe it's an advantage or a disadvantage. For some, gusto natin mag-abroad, gusto natin mabuhay sa malalamig na lugar, and because it is prosperous. Or maybe to think about it, baka naman we are blessed to become more spiritual in the Philippines. We are more blessed to have a more relationship-oriented country. Kaya, if we only know how to save for the rainy day, magtrabaho tayo, and then kikita tayo just enough to have a good relationship, that you are well fitted in the Philippines. Bakit? Kasi sa temperate countries, halimbawa yung mga bansa na may winter, pag hindi ka nagtrabaho ng summer or kung kailan available that you can get out, then pagdating ng winter, which is 25% of the season of the year, then gutom ka. Kaya nangyari, trabaho sila ng trabaho and they become prosperous. Yung mga Pilipino na nandito sa Pilipinas, kasi nga sabi ko, we are so creative, we are so intelligent, we are so ingenious in handling things up. Pag nagpunta sa bansa na masipag sa buhay, dahil nga pagdating na ng winter, gutom sila, so trabaho na trabaho, Filipinos do excel. Pero pagdating sa Pilipinas uli, we are more relationship-oriented because tomorrow, the climate will still be the same. Not unlike in other countries, dramatic na ang change na ng leaves, ng mga season. So knowing that this is happening to the Philippines, let's make the most out of it. If we are more, kaya ang export quality ng Pilipinas is human resource. We have good nurses, caregiver, we have good doctors, our engineers are so intelligent, our accountants are sought after, our lawyers are sought after kasi nga mas maganda ang upbringing natin. Pag dumating sa bansa na okay ang prosperity, then mag-excel talaga ang Pinoy. Pero tingnan niyo naman ang sakit na binibigay sa mga temperate countries dahil work, ilan pasyente ang may sakit sa puso, may stroke, may diabetes. Sa Pilipinas, hindi yan ang sakit. Although siyempre may issue din sa Pilipinas regarding infectious diseases as tuberculosis, mga malnutrition, may mga issues din yan. Pero once na overcome nyo yan, Philippines is a lot better to live on until we reach 100 years old. Ay, yung balato ko ha, after this lecture, pag umabot kayo ng 100 years old, bigyan niyo ako ng balato ha, at 100 years old.
Anyway.
Anyway.
This is very interesting kasi from the start of the slide when you were talking about the yin-yang, diba? And then all the other different cultures, it talks about balance, that even the bad brings, balance because it will lead towards good. And now, parang all throughout, up to this point, parang you're saying that the environment also not only affects our physical body, but also our lifestyle, our behavior, even the attitude. It's being formed by the externals as well.
Natumbok mo, Michelle. You got everything. Sometimes we complain, but to think about it, once we reach this age, like me right now, um, you tend to forgo with all the anxieties. Sabi nga doon nila, how come we are anxious? How come we are so problematic? Because we want to reach point B where we are in point A. Kaya we want to be there where we are still here. Pero, and that also represents location. Pag nasa traffic ka, example yan, from nasa traffic ka, tagal naman ng traffic doon. Paano ko darating sa, if you are in SLEX or NLEX, paano ko makakarating sa trabaho sa Makati? Sobrang traffic niyan. So you become harassed. Yun, tataas ng blood pressure, tataas ang sugar natin, sa galit na galit. Pero to think about it, if you look at the present, which is the concept ngayon of being in the moment, the Buddhist concept of being in the moment, then probably we just have to see that it's part of life. At mamaya konti, it will just come and go. Ayun, ang dating, how do you survive it? Pagdating natin doon, nabumura yung bossing natin. Bakit late ka na naman? So it adds up to our stress. I remember there's a patient of mine. He's the head of a unit and very punctual siya, which is good. And the management is happy that he is the boss on that particular department. Kasi very punctual siya. He comes mga 15 minutes before time. Tapos doon, nagkasakit yan sa puso. Kasi he may be very good, pero yung mga staff niya hindi ganun kagaling, kasipag. Minsan nalilate. Tapos doon, he's trying to impose his values to them. Hanggang sa kinagagalitan niya. Ano nangyari? Siya yung naging pressure cooker. So he starts boiling on it every day, every day, every day. Kaya sabi ko, there are things that you can motivate people. Strategy yan. The veteran business people here can attest ano yung strategy, how to motivate these guys. Pero do not take it in yourself or else sasabog ang butchi natin. Okay, so next slide please. Having understood the relationship of the environment, yes.
Yes.
Ito ngayon yung ating in Metro Manila and other lowland coastal Philippines. Hindi ko sasabihin na yung Mount Apo or the Ifugao or the Sagada or the Baguio, wag na yung klima na yon. Let's just go for the majority, which is the lowland and coastal land. So meron tayong summer solstice. So ngayon is already January. Nasa na tayo ngayon? Nasa gitna na tayo ni December and March. Kaya eto na between the December solstice na malamig, tapos yung papasok na si spring. Spring is the March 21 equinox bago niya maging ano. So knowing such yin and yang interplay at meron tayong interplay na rin na seasons, yung 4 seasons. So hindi lang duality of life, bipolarity of life, meron din quadrant of it. Next slide please. Diyan na ipapasok yung ating months. Next slide please. At we now have to see, para hindi tayo ma-stress, ba't ang init sa Pilipinas, yung mga ganun dating, tingnan natin regarding temperature, hot and cold, and then humidity, cool and dry, which is typical Philippines. And we need to naturally live with it, so become healthier in the Asian everyday lifestyle. Next slide please. We'll now manifest, ito, in-overlap ko lang, the interplay between temperature and humidity in this aspect. Anong mga sakit ang meron tayo ngayon, naglalalamig? So mga respiratory problems, kaya COVID, medyo enhanced ngayon kasi nagkakaroon ng mucus secretion ng ating kasi malamig ang panahon. Compared to the time na magkakaroon tayo ng mga summer, iba naman ang sakit during the summer months. Nandun sa beach, magkakaroon ng sunburn, magkakaroon ng mga ibang dehydration issues na magkakaroon din sa cardiovascular kapag ganyan ang klima. O kaya naman naging maging hot and wet na ang situation on July to November, kaya ano yung mga sakit na leptospirosis, the flooding area, yung mga dengue kasi mga stagnant water, yan ang ina-anticipate namin from the physician side, epidemiological side ng Department of Health, ina-anticipate na namin na ito dapat, meron ka bang gamot? Are you now ready to advocate such? At ganun din sa household, let's not go far, let's go to the country, let's go to our own house. Anong sakit ang paghahandaan natin ngayon at naglalalamig o kaya nag-summer sa ating bahay? Ready ka na ba sa inyong mga paracetamol na nawalang stock kasi nagkaroon ng fad about it? Pero bumabalik na naman daw itong week na to. Next slide please. Eto ngayon, we tend to look that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Kaya hindi natin ina-appreciate ang Pilipinas. And we want to look at abroad. Pero kung pupunta naman kayo sa abroad, tignan nyo, maraming depression, especially sa mga senior citizen during winter months. Kaya yung mga nanggaling na sa abroad, enjoy na enjoy tayo. Ay, ganito palang snow. Uy, ang sarap, ang lamig. Baliktad ang aircon dito, ang aircon na sa labas, sa loob ang mainit. Yun ang mga impression natin pagdating sa mga winter countries. Pero just to see that after 1 month of staying it, nagiging kakaroon na ng depression, hindi tayo makalabas, nagkakaroon ng blizzard. Kaya, again, counting blessing, Philippines would be there to help us become focused more on an everyday thing. And what I'm referring to is being more spiritual, more in the Philippines rather than, although sinasabi natin, kumakalam ang sikmura, paano natin gagawin yan? So, yin and yang, balance of material wealth and food and shelter, mga Maslow scale natin, plus the fact that we need to become balancing it with spirituality. In modern countries, nakikita natin they are very materialistic, capitalist, hindi na sila masyado into the spiritual side until they go, mapapansin ito mga white, the Caucasians travel to Asia to observe ang practices natin dito sa Pilipinas, sa Indonesia, sa Africa, kasi nakikita nila yung wisdom of neglecting the spiritual side of life. Kaya I'm happy for this program. Talagang soul talk ito. Kasi nakakalimutan na if trabaho, money, we need to earn kasi ang bills are coming in, ang mga matrikulasyon ng mga bata dumarating, ang gasolina tumataas. So that's expected. Pero yung nga lang, wag natin papabayaan ang ating spiritual side because only to realize if we can tune in to that power in the heavens and power of the earth, which is embedded in us, then these dreams of us just would materialize the next day. Whatever you dream of will happen. We're talking about dreams. Whatever you dream of, itulog mo lang yan, baka bukas nandiyan na sa harap mo or step towards reaching it. Kaya kung sabi ko nga may kakilala nga ako dyan na gusto niyang ang buhay niya ganito, ang ideal man niya ay ganito. Tapos doon, pag sabi ko itulog mo lang, pero kung what you pray for, minsan dumarating in avalanche. Kaya para wag naman ka biglain, wag ka na matulog, which is also wrong. Kasi ang ideal natin ng yin and yang is if you recharge, you also have to focus on our own good health. Next slide, please. Now that we have discussed an overview of the environment, how does it affect the body? Tingnan natin bakit tayo nagkakasakit. And from the medical perspective, meron tayong tinatawag na ano ang dahilan. Bakit ba tumutulo ang gripo natin? So anong dahilan? So troubleshooting sa bahay, troubleshooting sa kalusugan. So that is the cause of the disease. Scientifically, we call it epidemiological factors. Just forgo with the name. Tapos anong response sa katawan natin in a short term and a long term? Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na signs of inflammation, acute. Ang sabihin ng acute is short term. Chronic is long term. And then, alam na natin yan. What do we do next? How do we hasten return to good health? And all of us are into it right now. Mga yapis, hindi masyado priority ang health. Kasi ang goal nila is to become filthy rich. We pass through that. Nangyari sa atin yan. Pero once you reach that level na whatever you dream of material is already around or just within the corner, then we tend to focus more on our health. Kasi nga mayaman ka nga, ang dami mo ng pera, tapos kaya pong bitbitin ba ang maleta mo pag nag-trip around the world ka? Eh kung ikaw nang binibitbit sa wheelchair at tinutulak, nasan yung happiness ng traveling abroad kung ikaw na ang palagi may sakit? Nagtumatakbo palagi sa CR kasi meron ka ng BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, palagi na naiihi, o kaya yung mga inaatake na sa puso, o kaya mga nangyayari sa katawan natin na hinihika. Yan ang mga factors na dapat maibalik natin ngayon. Sa age level ng karamihan na nanonood ngayon, we are now focusing on that aspect. Just imagine, alumni homecoming. Anong pinag-uusapan niyo sa alumni homecoming? Noong 25th alumni homecoming, usap-usapan, huy, saan ka na ngayon? Saan ka nakatira? O, doon sa kondo. O, gara ng kotse mo nang bumaba ka kanina. Oo. Tapos, sino nang napangasawa mo? Ay, siya ba? Okay. Anong plano mo na sa buhay? Anong negosyong hawak mo? Prosperity-wise, 25th alumni homecoming. Pagdating ng 50th alumni homecoming, anong pinag-uusapan? Ano ng maintenance mo? Sino yung doktor mo para sa rayuma mo? Ano yung ano yung iniinom mo pag sumakit ang tiyan mo, siniksik-mura ka, mga ganyan. So yan na yung aspeto ng 25th, 50th Alumni Homecoming. Kaya if you are now in the age level like me, we focus now on health. Mga bata, yapis, let them wait for their time. Ngayon, all of us, let's now focus on health and spirituality as one. Knowing that this is the trend, the natural cause of health disorders, next slide please, tingnan natin that there would be the interplay of the host and the causative agent. Causative could be intrinsic, like coronavirus, maliit yan, mapasok sa katawan, or the environment, katulad ng pag palagi kayo naka-aircon, mas prone kayo magkaroon ng sakit. Kaya yung closed, confined, saka yung mga thesis of how COVID virus happens. So yan yung environmental influence, which I already discussed earlier. Pero yung causative agent din, virus ba yan? Ano ba nangyayari? Anong variant yan? Is it the Omicron na or the Delta pa rin? But pag may umubo sa isang elevator, 10 nakasakay sa elevator, isang umubo, bakit di naman lahat nakakasakit? So it depends now on the naturaleza of the person, and that is our host, both whether it's physiological thing or our genetics or hereditary. Para ba sinabi niyo, naku, obesity, naku, lahat kami sa pamilya matataba, hereditary yata ang obesity. No, no, no. Obesity does not run in the family. The problem is nobody's running in the family. Kaya ngayong pandemic quarantine, siguradong ang dami na naglakihan. Kasi anong gagawin natin? Bawal daw lumabas. Kaya humina na ang mga tuhod, nanunod na lang ilang movies ng Netflix na napapanood. Mga 2 hours, 4 hours. Tapos nakaupo tayo sa ating lazy boy, nasa sofa, minsan nanonood ng TV na sa kama. Kaya maraming nagsaki, lumabas sa mga sciatica, mga low back pains, and so forth. Talking about those pains, next slide please, will show because of this COVID and the pandemic and the lifestyle, meron tayong tinatawag na signs of inflammation, dolor, rubor, calor, tumor. Ibig sabihin, dolor is pain, o sumasakit ng bewang ko. I'm talking about one example which is sciatica or low back pains. Tapos rubor, merong redness in the area. Kalor, umiinit. Naku, sakit ng bewang ko. Dito sa kanan, tingnan mo, darling, tingnan mo yung init ng bewang ko, mas masakit dito. Tapos meron tayong tinatawag na tumor or nagkakaroon ng swelling. And then meron tayong tinatawag na functiolesa, hindi na magamit because of the pain. And the cycle goes on. In the short term, acute, and followed by a consistency of it, chronic long term. May pasyente ako ngayon, low back pain, dahil nga dito sa pandemic quarantine, sumakit na, umiinom ng gamot, effective naman ang gamot. Pero pag nag-wear off the, balik uli ang sakit. Kaya nagpapagamot ngayon, particularly in my field, which is acupuncture and healthy lifestyle, na sabi ko, okay, wag sasandal. Okay, challenge. Sino sa inyo dyan ang sumandal na? Ang sabi ko, from the start until the end of my talk, bawal sumandal. And you will see wonders about it. Turuan yung mga anak ninyo, lalo yung nag-aaral for the board exam. Dapat, pag nag-aaral sila, diretso ang likod. Let the blood vessels reach up easily to the brain where the battle is happening now pag nag-aaral, tapos para hindi rin antukin. Kaya yun ang mga turo ko sa mga board examiners and the bar examiners. So, meron tayong sakit. What shall we do? How do we hasten recovery? Next slide, please. We'll show 3 components. One of them would be at the cellular level. The other one would be the regional. The other one would be the environmental factors that would make us hasten our recovery. And in a nutshell, yung mga gamot na nabibili natin sa butika, that is the pharmaceutical. Pero meron tayong nabibili ng mga food supplement, nutraceutical ang tawag dyan, nutrients. Plus the fact yung actual food na kinakain or water balance, tama ba inom natin o nasusobran tayo sa mga diuretic beverages. And of course, from my field which is acupuncture, wherein you stimulate the nerves to wake up the cells to make it functional again. Ngayon, this approach is good at the cellular level. Pero parang ang bahay mo, hindi kinolekta ng basurero ang iyong basura, anong mangyayari sa buong bahay? Anong mangyayari sa buong barangay? Nangangamoy na. So the same thing goes, yung regional homeostasis, dapat ma-flush out, dapat walang traffic, and that is where the movement comes in. Yung sinasabi ko sa inyo ngayon na bawal sumandal focuses now on the regional homeostasis or regional balance of our body. Kapag nakahilata kayo at nakikinig kayo sa ating ngayon dito sa Soul Talk, baka naman mamaya naiipit na yung ugat. Kaya, okay, isang example. Do you know that varicose vein, the problem is not on the knee or the legs. The problem is on the hips. So, kung sino po dyan ang nakahilata pa ngayon, the angle, which I will show you mamaya with the picture, the 90-degree angle is important for the blood to return back to the heart. Kapag tayo nakahilata sa sofa, nakataas pa ang paa niyan, or naka-lazy boy, or naka-rocking chair, bawal umupo sa rocking chair, bibilis sa pagtanda. Itago niyo na yung rocking chair ni Lola o ni Tatay na nandiyan sa ano. Kasi yan ang dahilan bakit lalo nakakasakit ang matanda. Tandaan nyo, 100 years old, hindi tayo balato, kaya gawin nyo ng healthy ang mga lolo't lola. At ganun
Yung
din,
question ako, speaking
yes,
of that, kasi I'm studying right now eh. So you're saying that if I sit up straight more often, then I allow the blood to go to my brain and it functions better.
correct.
But I love sitting Indian style. Kasi
Galing.
naka-cross. I don't know if that's good.
And it makes your mind more alert. Ganito yan eh.
Ah,
Ang
okay.
percentage ng dugo natin, let's say, Manny Pacquiao, okay, o kaya mga
Oo.
mga si Onyok, kasi mga boxers natin, whenever you're focusing on it, blood does not happen 100% equally distributed. So, economic parlance, merong sinasabi na equitable or equal. So, what happens, kung sino mas kailangan is equitable. Put your blood where it's needed most, to my fist and to my brain and the movements of the body. Hindi pwedeng equal na pupunta dyan. Ngayon, ganun din sa ating position pag nag-aaral. You need more blood to reach to the brain. Unfortunately, pag nakahilata tayo, the blood drains down. What you do in a lotus position, you bend the knee, kaya yung percentage of blood going to the lower extremities, which you don't need at this moment, kasi nga nag-aaral eh. So the percentage of blood is naipit, it's being blocked, so that it focuses it to go back to the brain. Kaya mas listong isip kapag tayo ay naka-lotus position. Ang problema, hindi lahat ng tao kaya umupo sa lotus position kasi may rayuman na ng tuhod. Ang advice ko, let's go midway. May picture ako dyan mamaya. If you're working, looking at the laptop, looking at or reading on your books, you sit on a bangkito. The picture will show later. Again, the purpose ko is a picture says 1,000 words, kaya mamaya i-explain ko mamaya doon sa bangkito na yan. So for those who are studying well, mas magandang diretso ang likod. Wag yung sinasabing, alam niyo ba yung dinidibdib ang pag-aaral, hawak yung tablet, tapos nakatulog, tapos nabitawan sa dibdib, yung dinidibdib yung pag-aaral. Or isinasa ulo, nagbabasa ka sa desk, mamaya nakatulog ka, napupunta yung ulo mo doon sa libro. Huwag yung ganon. Sabihin, position yourself alert-wise para the energy, the neurons starts to pump up higher sa utak. Not only for you, mga PhD, masteral students, pero pati na rin sa mga high school, mga nagmo-module. Ayan, yung pag nag-aaral kayo, hindi pwede yung nagmo-module ng ating mga anak, nandun at nakasofa lang siya. Hindi, punta ka sa table. In fact, the dining table chair is a healthy position kasi naka 90 degrees. Next slide, please. I want to show that slide. Which one is more important? Is it the mind or the body? So with this, alam natin, some mind is better. O sige, then mind ka na lang, alisin na natin yung katawan mo. Parang si Stephen Hawking. Maganda ng utak niya. But how can he function well kung your body is so if we are blessed with a good body, we also should be blessed with a good mind. But in the whole 24 hours of the day, sometimes the mind is alert, sometimes the body is sedentary. Right now, all of us, your mind is functioning well, the neurons are firing well, pero nakaupo lang tayo, we are not jogging outside. Kaya ito yung alert and inactive sedentary lifestyle. Unfortunately, stay-at-home lifestyle, instead of it equally divided 25% of the time in 24 hours day, so 6 hours, dapat ganyan tayo, hindi na eh, kasi nga quarantine, we are so sedentary, more than 12 hours in a day, and that is the one causing us our sickness. We also have to have physical exercise, alert mind and active body, and that is where we need to insert. Paano yan? Na stay at home nga, it's going to be a challenge. We have our sleep, wherein the mind is unconscious, the body is also inactive. But sleep is not really a step down. In fact, it is in the reverse. Para bang sinabi ninyo, gear, mga manual gear sa traveling, we have the first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, may sixth pa yan minsan, pero meron din reverse. So, ibig sabihin, we need to have that reversal in order for us to recharge. So, the food happens also. Hindi ko i-discuss about the food. Maybe next time. Sa series na gagawin natin, we'll do it for the next time. Kasi kain tayo ng kain. Anong sabihin ng kain ng first gear, second gear? First gear is water diet lang. Water feasting. Second gear, appetizer. Third gear, medyo marami-rami na. Nasa main course na. Hanggang third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, yan yung eat all you can. Mga one to sawa, mga last supper. Pero, meron din tayong reverse. And reverse is the fasting. Kailangan din natin sa katawan yung mag-fasting. Something to think later on. Tapos, lastly would be unconscious and active. Yung kinain ninyong breakfast kanina, nasaan na? Yung kinain ninyong hapunan kagabi, nasaan na? You don't care. You're unconscious about it. But the body is actively processing it. And that is where our metabolism comes in play. The internal organ functioning. So, the mind and body interaction happens in the whole 24 hours of the day. And that should be respected and identified and done kung kulang ang ating dating. Next slide, please. So, this is what I teach. For those who can have a screenshot about this, or for all of you, capture nyo na ako ng camera phone. For the Jurassic people, similar to me, kunin yung cellphone nyo, kunin nyo ng picture yan. Pero syempre, may technique yan sa laptop. So, pinapakita lang, bawal magkasakit. Take home instructions. If you follow that religiously, hindi tayo makakasakit na ng cancer, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, COVID, mga sciatica, mga asthma, mga lahat ng sakit na nakakatakot, hindi tayo kakapitan if you follow this natural prevention. Kung meron na, then sana magkaroon ng reversal. How do we do it? Merong checklist. HOPVE, Oriental Healthy Lifestyle, that focuses on H for hydration, O for oxygenation, P is posture, at sinabi ko na kanina, V is veggies, and E is exercise. We can discuss this in detail, but time constraint, mamaya ifo-focus ko lang doon sa isa, which is the exercise na ginagawa natin ngayon. And that is that combination of oxygenation and posture is our exercise. So next slide, please. And sabi ko kanina, the blood flow is responsible, traffic is responsible to bring the 18-wheeler truck to the business sites. At the same time, for the garbage truck to remove it at ilalagay sa mga dump site. So, dapat maganda ang traffic. So, for the local government officials, ang ginagawa nila is to have a good road, priority yan, or else the country will not progress. Unless, nasa probinsya ka lang at happy ka na sa trail, o kaya sa daanan ng kalabaw, o kaya one track of road lang. Kung happy ka na dyan, it's okay. But if you really would like to attain prosperity in the locality where you are, focus on your roads. Next slide, please. So, biomechanical functional characteristic of the body parts. Knowing this will make us healthy. We go for tissue circulation to enhance cellular oxygenation, to attain ideal metabolism and ideal waste disposal system. Next slide. So, eto ngayon ang challenge ko, yung kaninang tinanong ko sa intro. Bakit nga ba ginawa ng Diyos na ang utak ay nasa ulo, which is on the skull, on the head, while the colon, rectum, and reproductive organs are on the hips? Why didn't God make it the other way around? Eto ngayon, it depends now on this geological, functional characteristics of the body parts, which is focused now on the regional homeostasis I was telling a while ago. Next slide, please. The location is dependent on protection and mobility. Next, please. So it now shows that it has to be balanced in some locality. Next click, please. Yan, balance po yan. But in some location, there would be priority is the protection, not much on mobility. Next slide, please. We'll now focus on mobility more than protection. And that's the answer to to have good tissue circulation. Next slide, please. Head, next. Neck, next. Chest, next. Abdomen, next is our hips. Okay, so anong anong divine intelligence ang ginawa sa atin? Bakit nga ba mayroong protection and mobility to each one? Next slide, please. So the issue here is the head is very protected pero immobile. Para ka naka naka-helmet sa ulo mo, and that is the function of the skull. Next slide, please. If that is so protected and immobile, it is compensated by the neck, which is very mobile pero unprotected. Isang karate chop niyan, bali ang likod. Kaya meron yung nakikita sa mga accident, sa mga sine, mga 911, dinadala ng mga emergency medical team, nilalagyan sila ng collar. Kasi nga, baka ma-dislodge yung mga buto dyan during an accident. The chest is also there for partially protected, kaya meron tayong ribs, partially protected, but it's also expanding. So it's also partially mobile. And that is responsible for our breathing and the proximity of the chest to the shoulders and to the upper extremities. Which is, pag magalaw kayo sa upper extremities, if you're swinging from one branch to the other, gaganda ang pagsigaw ninyo. Kaya tingnan si Tarzan. He swings from one branch to the other, kaya kaya isigaw yun. Ngayon, kapag maganda ang movements ng shoulders nyo, hindi masyado magkakaroon ng sakit to the organs inside doon sa loob, in this cusp-board. Abdomen is very much unprotected, pero it has to be mobile. Alam niyo yan, pag nag-eat all you can tayo, pagkatapos ng pagkain, ang laki-laki na ng tiyan natin, minsan niluluwagan ng sinturon. At ganun din, it needs to expand. Pero it also need to collapse as necessary. Sa mga buntis, kailangan mag-expand yan. And that's the only area where the child from conception until 9 months of age dapat mag-grow. And of course, the hips is partially protected and partially mobile, brought about by the movements of the leg muscles. Kaya, sabing tama nga yung conductor sa bus, urong-urong ko kayo dyan, galaw ng galaw, baka kayo may stroke. So when I heard that, natawa na lang ako mag-isa doon sa bus kasi may tama yung sinasabi ng conductor that is start moving, kaya pala nagkakaroon sakit sa na stroke, nagkakaroon sakit sa puso at tumataba at nagkakaroon ng diabetes. Next slide, please. So let's now discuss details on the internal organ. Next slide, please. So here, you find the brain. Why is the brain placed there? Siguro by this time, tanong nga kita, Michelle, ano sa yung sagot mo? You representing the rest of the audience, anong sagot mo? Bakit nilagay ng Diyos ang utak na sa lugar na doon sa taas?
Pilosopong sagot.
Pilosopo yan eh. Ito yan, pilosopo yan. Ano yun? Ano sagot mo?
Unang ginagamit ang utak.
Okay, tama yun.
Hindi, pero ano to, bawal galawin because all the nerves are connected to it, di ba? Hanggang spine.
Correct? Correct? Correct ka
So
dyan?
it has to be very protected. Hindi mo
That's
talaga
true.
gagalawin siya.
Oo, kaya yung ating Malacanang is very protected by the Presidential Security Group. Ganun katindi. Ang mga headquarters sa Philippine Navy, Philippine Army, ang pinaka-sentro, very protected yan sa gitna kasi nandun yung pinaka-commanding officer. Tama ka. It has to be protected. But it needs to be in a place where it's very close to the, next slide please, to the brain and the sense organs. Para bang, if you are jogging, at bangin nyo na sa gilid mo, o kaya you're jogging and tapos may traffic, may sasakyan, your detector of the sense organ of sight, of smell, of hearing should be very fast. Kaya if you are boxer, pag nakita mo yung kamao dumarating na, pwede mo na maiwasan. Very fast. And the whole body adjusts. The brain will tell the nerves and the muscles and the feet to start moving away from it. So, hindi pwedeng may delay. So, the proximity of the sense organ to the nerves to the command center should be very close. Kaya sama-sama sila dyan. Nakita ka na ba ng radar na nasa ilalim ng lupa? Walang ganon. It has to be on the very topmost kasi you sense whatever can be sensed from afar. At ganun din yung ating, so command center, mabilis ang decision for the rest of the body, sabi mo kanina with the spinal cord, to adjust. So that answers it. Bakit nilagay in a very secured area? Pero the disadvantage to it, kumusta ang sirkulasyon? Kasi if it's so much enclosed in the skull, hindi maganda ang sirkulasyon. So what shall we do? Next slide, please. Oops. A picture lang pala yan. Go ahead. Click please. Click, click, click. Pictures lang yan, pictures. Click, 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 click. Okay. Now, look at the thyroid. The thyroid is on the neck in a very mobile area. Kaya, importante that part of your regular exercise is you move your neck. Because in doing so, it will squeeze whatever blood you have to be pumped to the brain. So if you're studying or you don't want to be senile, start moving your neck. Ang dami mga yogic exercise diyan. Yung inhale, stretch as far as it go, and then touch your chin to the chest. In pranic healing, ginagawa namin ni Michelle yan dati. Okay, so inhale, exhale. So the turtle pose is there. Tapos yung siyempre regular movements of the neck. Kaya doing it squeezes the blood to the brain. Kaya pampatalino. But there's also an organ which is found there, which is a thyroid, which is the main organ responsible for our hormones. May mga mechanism that goes there. Kaya pag gusto nyo ma-regulate ang blood, we have our brainstem to regulate our blood pressure, our respiration, our nutrition, then enhance good movements of the neck. Kaya yung very mobile siya. Next slide, please. This is the next click, please. Heart, go, lungs, and breast. So if you want to have good circulation to your heart, to have good circulation to this COVID pandemic, which is the lungs, and that of the breast, move your shoulders a lot. Now take note, the heart and the lungs are together. Meaning if you do your deep inhalation, hindi ba sa yoga natin merong breathing exercises, may mga ritual pa yan, may mga ganon, mga ritual yan. Pero importante lang na gawin natin na to do regular deep breathing. Hindi ba kwento yan sa mga barkadahan? Uy, bakit namatay yung classmate natin? Ano nangyari? Ay, nakalimutan huminga. There is some joke to it. Pero there's some truth to it too. Na ibig sabihin, if you forget to breathe, collapse na yung ating mga tissues sa loob. Kasi whenever we breathe, all the organs inside also, may experiment ako dyan pero no time for me to do it now, would be nag-expand yan, and all the blood vessels you have for your coronary arteries, so it's the one causing the heart attack, it starts to open up on a regular basis. If we are depressed, palagi yung ganyan tayo. So, nakakollapse ang shoulders, nakakollapse ang rib cage. Hindi masyado maganda expansion. Kaya ultimately, in the long-term chronic state of being depressed, nagkakaroon na ng heart problems and lung problems and breast problems. So for those having breast cancer, for those having any problems with that structure, then kailangan nagagalaw ang balikat. So swing from one branch to the other, or go for golf para nagsiswing ka, or just do some exercises with some, mamaya pagkagawa ko ibang sample exercises to our viewers. Okay. So that's for the thorax. Kaya galaw-galaw ang shoulders for the sake of your heart. Next slide, please. Yeah, click please. Heart lang. Saan naulit lang pala. Next slide, please. So, abdomen. Yeah. Liver, gallbladder, go ahead. Liver, gallbladder. We have the stomach. We have the pancreas. We have the spleen, and that of the kidneys. And that is the small intestine. So, that needs to expand. Kasi yan yung ating mechanism. Pag nakakita ka ng langgam, yung area ng malaking puwet nila, nandun yung kanilang mga bituka. Laman loob, yung heart and lungs nandun sa kasama ng mga kamay, pero yung abdomen ng malaki sa puwet, yan yung mga itong sinasabi kong laman loob na yan. Ganun din sa atin, it's the storage area or the, kumba sa tren, yan yung engine ng ating tren para gumalaw yung tren. Tapos all the rest is the passenger na. So that means gumagalaw. Kaya important na mag-expand. Bawal magsuot ng corset.
You know some women who love corsets.
Kasi nga, pampasexy. Lalo na kung attend ka ng ng mga evening event. Ngayon, nabubuksan na ngayon mga kasalan. Siyempre, yung gown na sinuot natin nung araw, hindi na magkasya ngayon. So, magko-corset yan. Example na lang, pag masikip ang sinturon mo, hindi ba parang ang hirap huminga? Because you're now pushing the internal organs, the abdominal organs, to the diaphragm, and the diaphragm pushes the lungs. May pasyente nga ako, lalaki naka-corset. So, nung ginagamot ko, nakadapa siya, nakita ko, ano yan? Pampasexy. Alisin mo yan, delikado sa puso yan. Na-stroke siya later on. Kasi nga, the circulation is compromised. Kaya, for you, do what nature taught us. Let it expand accordingly. Pangit niyang tignan. So,
Hindi, it's part of beauty. Talagang nagsalita when it comes to beautifying.
Correct. You're not alone. All of us would like to see it beautiful. Pag sa lalaki hindi ba pag nakakita ng magandang dilag na dumarating, lumilitan siya ng mga kalalakihan, pero hindi humihinga yan. Pag lumabas niya, balik uli. So that means maganda ang beauty, maganda ang issue. So, do you do it artificially or naturally? Artificially would be you put a corset or put yung mga binder or belt. Pero the natural way is paggandahin natin ang ating abs. Paano natin magagawa ngayon? Stay at home quarantine na wala yung mga exercises natin for the abs. Hindi tayo makalakad as always. So, next slide, please. And that is for the large intestine. Next slide, please, which now represents, next, good, click, please. Yeah, click, please. Yes, intestines, large intestine. And nandiyan na rin urinary bladder. Nandiyan na rin si, go, click, please, prostate. Nandiyan na rin ang mga ovaries and uterus. Oops, balik. So with this concept of the hips, if you keep on walking, for sa mga nagmamarathon dito, hindi ba pag naglalakad tayo, pag solo na rin naglalakad, wala tayong katabi, nauutot tayo. And that is good. Because the movements of the hip, ball and socket joint of the legs is now massaging the internal organ, particularly the large intestine. Kaya gumaganda ang circulation. It will also massage the bladder. It will also massage the prostate para maiwasan ang enlargement of the prostate. It also is good for erection issues. So sa mga nagkagawin 50 years old and above, nagkakaroon ng erectile dysfunction, ganoon rin sa kababaihan para na-squeeze yung hormone that will keep us beautiful and the women beautiful and active, and that is your estrogen progesterone, which is enhancing the circulation to the face and youthfulness. Kaya lakad-lakad is an example na palagi tayong magiging maganda, gwapong, makisig, matipuno. And that's the reason why it's very close to the lower extremities, to the hip joints. Kaya these exercises, doing those will affect the internal organ. Kaya ganun pala kagaling ang Diyos. Next slide, please.
Yeah, there's really a grand design.
Grand design. Ganun siya katalino. He's the divine engineer. He made it. All right. So, since na-explain ko na bakit, a lot of factors, sabi ko nga, pwede ba yung hydration, oxygenation, posture, veggies, and exercise, focusan tayo muna sa exercise. Sa ibang episode na lang tayo. Parang nga nakikita ko sa yung Netflix itong Soul Talk, parang Netflix meron season 1, season 2, episode 1, episode 2. So siguro sa aking season 1, ito yung aking episode. First episode lang tayo ngayon. So we're going to be discussing upright posture, squatting, horizontal posture as a stationary non-mobile thing. And for the mobile is head and neck, shoulders, and may video nga pala ako nito Hindi ko napadala sa iyo. I hope magawa ko on my end. Okay, next slide please. So, si Tatang, bakit? From a glance, alam mo kung bakit matanda. Next slide, please. Kasi palagi nakaupo. Challenge ko na kayo kanina. Bawal sumandal. Yung mga sumunod, congratulations. You are now delaying the aging process. Yung mga hindi sumunod, sorry na lang kayo. Eto mangyayari sa inyo. Next click please. Kung saan kayo sumandal, swak na swak, kung kayo kukuba pag nakatayo. Kaya,
Oh my gosh, okay. This is a good visualization.
sa flag ceremony, makikita nyo sino yung mga director na matatanda. Kasi kayo ng buhay nila na pag nag-flag ceremony, nakakuba yung bayang magiliw. O kaya naman sa simbahan, kita nyo yung mga senior citizen na doon sa harap na nakakuba. Kasi nga palagi nakasandal. Kaya starting now, habang maganda pa ang likod natin, sanayin ang katawan ninyo na huwag sasandal. Next slide, please. So, congratulations for those. And this is important. Sabi ko kanina, varicose veins, the cause of varicose veins is not on the legs, it's not on the knee. It is on the hips. Next click.
How is that happening? Na akala ko varicose is really on the legs.
Yeah, next click.
Ito.
Yeah. Yes, that's the answer to that. Kapag nakahilata ka, naiipit yung ugat pabalik sa puso. So, it is more of a damming effect. Kasi we as surgeons, we were taught to do venous stripping and sclerotherapy. Anong garantiya na hindi na babalik? Babalik ng babalik yan. Kaya nangyari, ang problema pala, hindi makabalik yung, nagkakaroon ng daming. Kaya tingnan yung mga varicose veins, parang uod na lumalaki. No? From a very small uod, lumalaki ng lumalaki. Kasi nga daming effect. Naiipit siya doon sa bewang. Itong si mama na nakahilata. Pero if you go for the PMA, the West Point position, nakadiretso yan, maganda ang daloy. At yun sinasabi ko, gusto nyo mawala ang varicose vein for beauty purposes, iwasan palagi nakahilata. Gusto nyo tumalino, let the blood flush, pump immediately up to the brain para gumanda ang ating pag-aaral. Ganun din maiwasan ang senility on that area. Next slide, please.
Does crossing the leg also causes varicose veins?
No.
No, it
No.
doesn't.
Sabihin
Parang
mo sa
yun yung
mga,
dating sinasabi. If you cross your leg, you will get more varicose veins.
okay.
So
The
it's
varicose
not.
vein-
It's on the hips.
Hindi yun. Pag maganda ang exercises natin of walking, napapump yung dugo paakyat. Pero kapag hindi tayo naglalalakad, the leg muscles starts to atrophy or lumiliit yung leg muscles. So yung pumping mechanism niya for that blood vessels to be squeezed back to the heart, hindi nagagawa ng leg muscles. So that is the cause, kulang sa lakad. Kaya nagkakaroon ng varicose vein. Yung example na sa aeroplano, you travel from US coming back here, 14 hours, 21 hours of flight. Pagdating natin sa destination, manas na manas tayong paa.
Yeah.
So that means na hindi nagagalaw kasi nakahilata tayo. But the flight attendant keeps on moving. Kaya hindi sila masyadong may varicose vein kasi galaw ng galaw.
Oh,
So the
that's a
problem,
nice, ano.
yeah. So this is one example. Kapag if you need to study squat, lotus position, or the Japanese zazen type of position, inupuan. Pero pag ang Pinoy, hindi kayang gawin niya kasi we never grew up with that, then hanap kayo ng bangkito. Kunin niyo yung bangkito na ginagamit ng katulong niyo sa labas, pasok ninyo, tapos yan ang upuan ninyo. May I also advise, right this point, whenever you take your showers, sit on a bangkito. Why? Ang Pilipino palagi naliligo. Mabango ang Pinoy, along with the Japanese. Mabango ang Pinoy. And that's the reason why palagi silang sa onsen bath, sa Japanese, o kaya sa Pinoy, sa bangkito, you sit on that on an everyday thing para nai-squeeze ang muscles at naiiwasan ang varicose vein kapag napapump yung dugo pabalik. So, you take your showers, you take your shampoo, you brush your teeth, you shave, you wash your clothes, diyan naka-squat kayo, that will do wonders on an everyday basis. Next slide, please. Yan, yung mga nag-aaral ng PhD. This will prevent senility. This will enhance brain pag nag-aaral kapag naka-squat ka ng ganyan. Kita mo si Manong, naka-laptop pa siya. Pero, it's hard. It's hard to do this. Unang-una, hindi ganyan ang ating furniture. Ang furniture natin is the elevated type. Next slide, please. This is what I do in my clinic. So, I elevate my legs. Hindi ako nakasandal, I elevate my legs. Para sa ganun, I simulate as if I am in a squatting position. Since I cannot lower down my table, kasi yun ang expectation ng pasyente, mataas yung table, hindi ko sila pwedeng ibaba sa parang Japanese style, then ako na lang mag-a-adjust. I raise my legs and then I don't use the backrest. So this will help us a lot kapag nanood ng net. Okay, talking about this. One of the problem we are having now with this pandemic, stay-at-home quarantine, how many movies are we watching? Hanggang sa makatulog. Kinabukasan, masakit ang ulo, masakit ang batok, masakit ang balikat, masakit ang bewang. Ang advice ko, the last 30 minutes before you sleep, get hold of your, di ba pag nag-post yan, iihi ka, pinost mo, may lalabas na ilang minutes ang natitira pa sa HBO, sa Netflix, sa YouTube. Then, ang gawin ninyo, kung last 30 minutes na yan, get hold of your dining table chair. Because dining table is always 90-degree angle. Hindi naka-rocking chair. Kaya itabi na ninyo yan, last 30 minutes, tabi na ninyo. Kung ang TV ninyo ay nasa loob ng kwarto, ipasok niyo yung dining table chair sa loob ng kwarto. So huwag kayo hihiga. And then what happens is, nabubuksan yung naiipit na ugat. What happens sa sciatica? Naiipit yung ugat. Tapos doon, Pag humiga na kayo, ipit pa rin yan. Kinabukasan, ang sama ng pakiramdam natin with all the back pains and all the varicose veins and all the swelling of the legs. Pero kung 90 degrees na nakaganito ka, last 30 minutes, nabubuksan na yung pinch nerve from the muscles, particularly there's a name of the muscle, piriformis muscle, and I forgot with the name. Basta pag ginawa niyo yan, nabubuksan. Pag humiga na kayo, bukas yan, and then the rest of the next day, ang ginhawa. Ang dami kong cases ngayon ng ginagamot regarding low back pains at nakikita ang lifestyle nila kasi nga masakit, hindi palagi nakahilata. Palagi nakahilata, lalo sasakit. So there's a vicious cycle happening. Kaya itong advice ko po, huwag sasandal. Right now, for everyone, get the benefit of it. I gave a talk minsan sa mga the handmaids of the Lord. Handmaids of God. Sa ano yan, the Catholic group na mga single blessed. So mga pare, mga babae kadalasan. Meron din mga lalaki. May madre, may mga byuda, may mga single blessedness. Sila yon. Ang sabi ko sa kanila, how can you serve the Lord if the temple of the Holy Spirit is dilapidated? Paniniwalaan ba kayo ng mga kinakatikis mo yung mga pasyent, mga tao? Kaya ang sagot ko sa kanila, straighten your spine and follow this thing on a regular basis. You're starting it today. Yan, you're starting it today while listening. Nakakailang minutes na tayo. Patapos na naman tayo. So, ayan. Pakita ko lang iba pang mga exercise. Next slide, please.
There are backrests, di ba, that's available. Do those help, Ren?
Yung yung 2,000 pesos worth na nabibili sa mall.
Yung parang medyo parang pa-curve siya na spine, it pushes your stomach out. Parang ganon. Does that help?
Tanong mo kay Tarzan gumagamit siya nun.
Natural ka nga pala.
Again, okay. Yun, kaya ang liksi nila pag merong naririnig na leon parating, listo sila, galaw agad. Okay. Now, another thing is to connect the shoulder. Remember, I talk about the shoulders and the hips. Connect it through the abs. At this is one simple exercise. Ang turo ko niyan, what is your favorite prayer? Whatever prayer, whatever religion you're into. Halimbawa, Our Father is your favorite prayer. Go for level 1 and say your favorite prayer. Our Father, what you know. Okay. And then tapos. And do it again later on. Pagdating na ng panahon, baka kaya mo na level 2, kaya pa level 3. Pero baka naman, pagdating ng panahon, kaya yung dasalin yung rosary na nakaplank ka na ganyan. Good luck. It's a long, tall challenge, pero it's good for the abs that connects the two organs, to pelvic girdle and the shoulder girdle together. Next slide, please. Okay. Challenge. So all of you, please free your hands. Please sit properly, free your hands. Naalala mo pa to, Michelle? Tinuturo ko to
naalala. Tinuturo mo to sa parents ko eh. Wala, matigas ulo, ayaw.
Okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down, right over left, palms facing each other, fingers intertwined and lock. Huwag yung bibitawan, bibitawan. Ready, ready, ready. Pull, 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 rotate, 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 extend! Aray ko po, wag bibitawan nyo. Intertwine pa rin yung fingers. Dapat, yan ang sikreto dyan. Straight. Yung iba, hindi kaya mag 180 degrees. It's okay. It's a good start. What is important is the stretch. Kahit na 90 degrees angle yan, what is important is the stretch.
Ang hirap na yung stretch out, ha?
Pull, we're not yet finished. We'll do it 3 times. Pull, pull, rotate, 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 lift up.
Okay.
Ulit. Pull.
Oh, that's so good sa back.
Correct. Pull, rotate, lift up. And third, pull in, rotate, third.
Parang mali na yung ano ko.
Compare the first and the third. You will notice medyo kanina, baka 90 degrees, baka ngayon medyo nagiging 80, 45 degrees na lang. Okay. Habang tumatagal, dumediretso yan. Again. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Kanina sabi ko right over left. Let's do left over right. Palms facing each other, finger intertwine, and lock. Okay. Pull, rotate, extend. Alin mas masakit? Kaliwa o kanan? Pull, rotate, lift up. And again, do it for the second count.
Ang hirap ng lift up.
Ay, Michelle, maraming
Mali na.
gumagawa naman. Meron rotate. Hindi mo ginawa yung rotate.
Okay. Wait.
Tinataas mo.
Paano
Hindi mo
again?
tinataas
Thumbs
yan.
up. Kasi
Thumbs
sabi mo
up.
two ways, di ba? So thumbs
Oo.
up, and then you thumbs down, and then you have to right over left.
Right?
Yeah.
Pull.
And
Pull.
then palms facing each other, fingers locked,
Um,
pull in.
pull in.
Tapos rotate outwards.
Get
Tama,
out.
no?
Yeah, extend.
Stretch.
Go.
Hindi na kaya, 90
Okay lang.
lang.
Okay lang yan.
Okay,
Tapos
and then
balik.
I pull
Out.
in,
Pull in.
akyat
Rotate.
naman.
Lift up. Lift up.
Ganon.
Yan. Got it. Marami nagkakamali ng ganyan. If you're going to look at the PowerPoint slides, merong rotate outwards, then stretch. Pag hindi
Oo.
ginawa yan, yung pull in, rotate, lift up, yun ang hindi nagagawa yung rotate.
Tapos, after na right over left, it's left over right naman.
If you can do it, 3, 10,
Tingin nga.
100, welcome
Left,
ka.
left over right.
Correct.
Pull in. Hirap din. Okay.
Pull in, lift up. Ayan.
Ang sarap rin,
It's good
10
stretch.
times? Oh my goodness. Okay, sige. But at least that moves the shoulders, no? Shoulders,
remember,
arms.
If you're moving the shoulders, you enhance circulation to the heart, to the lungs, and to the breast.
Oo. Ay, kailangan ko yan. Cardiovascular. Hinihingal ako.
Nakakahingal talaga yan. Ngayon ang tanong dyan, anong clinical significance niyan? Yung mga inaatake sa puso, they have chest pain. Aray, chest pain. They would claim gumagapang. Kadalasan gumagapang sa kaliwa. Meron din sa kanan, pero kadalasan sa kaliwa. Bakit sa kaliwa? Because meron tayong mga channels, meridians, we call it in Chinese. So meron tayong heart line on the right side, we have the heart line on the left side. So kung hirap ka sa right over left, that represents a problem with your right side of the heart, which represents the lungs.
Oh, okay.
Kaya kung meron kang hika, weak lungs, or you will lack exercise during this pandemic, ang sakit nitong right over left, hindi natin madiretso. I was like this before, 90 degrees when I started learning this. Inaraw-araw ko hanggang sa dumiretso na ng 180. It took time. Hindi overnight, it took time. Now, what is dangerous the left over right? Kasi kung meron mga heart pumping to the rest of the body, especially coronary arteries, which is the culprit for heart attack, or mga aortic aneurysm or stroke, yan yung mga problems with left over right. Nadi-delay. Kung operahan ka sana, madi-delay natin, and magkano ngayon ang pa-opera sa angioplasty, angiogram, and total bypass. Mahal yan ngayon. Kaya, again, Oriental medicine focus on prevention. Yung gasgas na sinasabing prevention is better than cure, wala naman nakikinig dyan eh. Kung meron man nakinig, walang sumusunod. Pero knowing that this is a factor na indicator, it is an indicator at the same time, diagnostic at the same time, it's therapeutic. Kaya araw-arawin nyo lang yan, given the chance. Maganda yun sa barkadahan. O tatay, nanay, o kapatid, kuya, gawin nga natin daw ito.
Oo, pero you know, this exercise, this is not the first time I've heard you kasi you demonstrated it to my parents and I was there. Pero parang yung I was listening, parang tagos lang siya. Ngayon parang, oh, it will help me. Parang it was just a few years ago.
And that will be good for pumping blood to the brain. Para hindi tayo, para gumandang aral mo sa klase and maganda sa negosyo kasi all the answers to business will just flow to the brain and it will prevent senility.
And it's so simple. Hindi kailangan ng gym.
Mahirap yung mga they do the tai chi, yung mga ritual na gano'n, mabusisi yan. You can go yoga if you wish to, pero ito yung mga simpleng na-modify ko na para magawa ng Pilipino. Okay, next slide, please.
Yes. Rotate outwards. Okay.
So, itong rason na if you start walking, start now swinging your shoulders from one branch to the other, it will enhance good circulation to the heart, to the lungs, and to the brain. The problem is, wala nang puno ngayon. Wala sarado.
Hindi, saka the air quality of the city. Well, most of us are in the cities naman.
If you're in Makati, the only thing, the lungs, the park that we have is the Washington Sisip. Yun na lang nakikita kong park pa rin. But I walk from my clinic, which is a 3-kilometer walk pabalik. In the morning, I need to run. Pero I need to rush. Pero in the afternoon, leisure time, I walk for 3 kilometers from my uh, place of my clinic in somewhere in Makati Avenue, Kalayaan. Hindi sa Berjaya Hotel, doon sa doon sa tabi nun. So from that area, I walk to the Bendia, maraming puno, that's very good. Kahit na paano, may oxygen ako, may source of oxygen. Okay. And then, I also walk with a cane. The cane is necessary to force my shoulder to move. Remember, the heart, the lungs, and the breast, to force the shoulders to move. At yun ang ginagawa ko. Dahil may baon akong ganyan, I put it on one hand, later on the left hand. Kung gusto yung dalawa, tatawanan nga lang kayo, pero maganda ang dalawa rin. So this is one exercise.
Okay, without the, what do you call that? The
trekking pole.
Sa trekking. Oo, without the trekking pole, you can just move your arms.
Hindi ganun ka-motivating. Kasi
okay.
one press is around 10 kilogram force. And you have 10,000 steps, di ba? Yung I advise 10,000 steps. So 10,000 steps from one press is 10 kilogram. That's 100,000 kilogram workforce that you give to the shoulders. Ngayon, kung gusto ninyo yung turo nung sa high school girls, I must increase my bust for fear that boys will not come near. Yun ang chanting yun, di ba? Ng mga girls' school.
Sa TV ko na napanood yan.
Hindi ko lang alam kung alam ni Grace yan. Grace, alam mo ba yan? Sa Assumption?
Oh my gosh.
Pero instead of that, this exercise with wet walking stick focuses on enhancing your breast to become more firm. Not aesthetically, at the same time, for those who had breast mass, mga bukol-bukol or survival ng breast cancer, this will hasten recovery or remission. Next slide, please. Ayan yung itsura ko. This was before the pandemic, kaya na-maintain ko from by walk. Tinan mo yung nasa likod na mga doktor yan mga sa likod na naglalakad, they're just walking. Katulad sagot mo kanina, pwede ba maglakad na lang swinging with the arms? Yes, pero mas maganda kung meron kang cane. And after February, March, April, May, June, July, 5 months later on, nag-slim down na ako. Bumalik nga lang because of this pandemic quarantine lifestyle. Sana
sedentary.
ma-recover natin ang ating sedentary lifestyle. Next slide, please. And these are the benefit of walking with a cane. It's called a trekking pole. Kahit naman kawayan, pwede yung, o kaya payong na may goma sa ilalim. It will preserve the joints, improve balance, improve confidence, enhance endurance, posture for the heart and the lungs, good for bone density, prevents osteoporosis. So exercise and focus, weight management, fat burning, improves the walking stance, your gait, reduces the risk of injury, swelling of the extremities. So yung mga minamanas sa paa, masakit ang paa, then makakatulong yan. Save times, equalize the pace, compliance, functional walking, and proprioception. You feel the body. Next slide, please. Now, last 2 slides, I think. Last 2 or 3 slides. How do you manage stress? Can you remove stress? Kung trabaho nyo yan. Kung asawa mo yan. How can you remove it? How can you...
Tawa ko dun sa kung asawa. Oo nga naman.
How can you remove the stress? You cannot. Next slide will show the reason why we are stressed, because it's more of an emotional stress. Kasi we lack physical stress. And this is the reason bakit kulang tayo sa tulog, we are not drinking properly, we're not eating properly kasi we're just at home. Next, so the solution, then we balance it. Next slide, let's click this. We'll add physical stress, add more physical exercise, and guaranteed gagalingan sa sarapan tulog, gagandang hydration natin, gagandang ating nutrients, and the mental emotional stress just can be tolerated from there on. Start today. Yung nga palang warning sa mga mag-exercise bukas after listening to this lecture, magsasakitan ng katawan ninyo kinabukasan. Just like anybody na nag-jogging sa Quezon City Circle, kinabukasan nagsasakitan ng katawan. Expect that to happen. Isa pa rin magandang lugar na maganda mag-jogging is Lamesa Nature Reserve. Doon sa may Lamesa. Pero ang layo na nun. Next, hanap na lang kayo ng park in the sa mga villages, minsan magagandang mga puno in the villages. Next slide, please. So that is, I only thought of the posture and the exercise. More to come in the episodes to follow with the Soul Talk that will happen with Michelle's
Oo.
initiative to
Pero alam mo, interesting yung oxygenation mo ha. Avoid air-conditioned rooms. Oh my gosh. How can you avoid that? Even our malls are all air-conditioned.
true. Kasi nga, we are following the American lifestyle. Gusto natin ng buhay na malamig. Kaya, in fact, in my clinic, I don't use aircon. Malamig lang kasi kung umihigop siya ng hangin from the corridor of the building. Pero bukas ang akin, kasi the chances for viral load, pag yung panahon pa ng Delta Micron, um, virus, wherein pag nandun ka the virus lingers for 24 hours. Kapag bukas ang bintana mo, flash out siya. Wala na. Pero yung aircon natin, isang pumasok, kinabukasan another virus came, and it stays there for 1 month according to the studies. Kaya ibig sabihin, the longer you stay in an aircon room, the more you have the chances to have viral contamination. Sumakay ka ng taxi, sumakay ka ng Grab, the first thing I do is to open up the windows para magpalit ng hangin. Yung acrylic na doon sa driver, walang silbihan. Kasi in an aircon car, hihigop siya ng kung may virus na yung hangin na yan, tapos babalik, ibubuga ng aircon, balik uli sa kanya. Eh di walang silbi. Kaya yung driver mismo may virus, higupin ng aircon, tapos ibubuga sa passenger. Delikado. So what we do is open up the window immediately, kahit na for a few minutes, kasi masyadong umiinit eh. Baka makatulog yung driver pag mainit ang sasakyan. So open it up, exchange, and then close again, and do that every day. So no aircon, preferably. If you cannot forgo with it, put lots of plants inside your working area, your bedroom, and so forth. Pero mas maganda nga wala.
Maganda pala i-air out ang mga rooms. Okay, that's a very natural na
At then,
advice.
yung evaporative cooler, that's what I have in my clinic. Yung nabibili na, yung mga garden wedding, di ba, open space, tapos meron sila yung nilalagyan ng tubig, yung evaporative cooler. Hindi ko nasasabihin ng brand, I'm not advertising it. Okay, anyway, bubuga yon sa mga guests, sa dining table, sa reception. Kaya malamig-lamig na yon kahit na walang aircon.
Oh, pwede ko bang i-touch ng konti yung hydration and the veggie side? Yung sa
Sige, wag mo.
hydration, the neck scarf, that one. That's
Pag tinatch
kasi
mo yung pag
kasi
tinatch mo yan,
we know the water na eh. Alam naman natin we need at least 3 liters of water and then prevent dehydration, 'di ba? Pero the neck scarf, that's something also to keep yourself hydrated.
like this, So I'm
Mm.
wearing it not for fashion. I'm wearing it for a reason. Ang challenge ko diyan, tignan niyo yung mga madre, yung mga cloistered nuns sa Santa Clara, no? Ang gaganda ng kutis nila. Tignan mo mga Muslim, kahit na matatanda na sila, ipunta ka sa Basilan, sa Zamboanga, makikita mo. Ang gaganda ng kutis ng mga babae kasi you prevent dehydration by preventing moisture from escaping out. The same thing goes for the military. Kaya yung uso naman to kasi marami nagra-ride ngayon, mga riders, meron silang ganyan. Tapos pag
Yeah.
nakalimutan kayo ng mask, tapos nandiyan yung pulis na nanguhuli, taas siya lang na ganito. Not as effective as the KN95, pero just enough to cover yourself. And this is what I do whenever I do my walk. Over them.
Really? Okay, that's good to know.
Pollution kasi ng ng mga tambucho, ng jeep, saka ng mga motor. So it protects me. Even before the pandemic, I've been using it already.
Oo. And that's so nice. But this is the Oriental lifestyle. The Oriental healthy lifestyle.
Nagpunta ka ng Boracay, tapos napaka-skimpy ng bikini mo, parating na yung pulis, then ibaba mo lang yan meron ka ng bra at saka panty somewhere down.
Oh, nawala na. Okay, so let's Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Umabot tayo ng 2 hours for I appreciate the effort done for this one.
And birds of the same feathers tayo eh. I can feel the energy of you and the Soul Talk attendees. You can feel the energy as early as now.
Mm-mm. Pero it's talagang years of not just the medical school, but also different points of view in terms of medicine. So ang dami mo talagang inaral and to experience it for you to come up with what works and what not from your point of view.
Bakit si Einstein matalino? Di ba naging pipi? He was mute before. Kaya according to him, he keeps on observing and thinking and asking question why. So ganun din sa medicine, start ko, bakit ba nandito? Bakit ba yung utak? Bakit ang bituka? Bakit ganyan? Bakit ganito? Bakit if you go to other countries, that's not being followed? Pero healthy naman sila. Bakit? So the same thing goes with our soul-searching thing. The ability to ask question why gives us the imprimatur, the mandate for the blessing from above, the knowledge, the Holy Spirit, the knowledge, the blessing to come in and make us more intuitive. Ituturo kayo sa mga board examiners sa medicine pati rin sa bar, mga board examiners sa accountancy, mga ganyan. So, if you want to become intuitive, do your meditation, tune in, kasi ang ating Anghel de la Guardia nagchat with the Anghel de la Guardia of the examiner. So malay mo, pag na-tune in mo sila, masasagot mo yung question na ginawa nila. And then pagbukas mo ng libro, the page that you open up, uy, hindi ko nababasa to yung pala yung nalalabas sa board exam. So answers to problems in our office, problems to everything.
Oo. Pero it must have been really brave of you to step into Eastern medicine when, here in the Philippines, talaga yung pag-medicine, it's Western talaga. Sa schools naman talaga, it's Western But you're an acupuncturist as well. So you have integrated the Eastern. Parang di ba tumaas yung kilay ng mga colleagues mo when you did that?
It's more of may mga challenge kasi I was a surgeon before. So we operate. I realized na if you do acupuncture, bago pa pumutok yung appendix, nare-reverse mo, hindi na naoperahan. Kaya galit sa akin yung mga classmates ko sa surgery.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright, wala ako masabi dyan. It must have taken a lot of guts talaga to still stick to it na hindi, ito yung paniniwala ko and preventive is really better and this really works. Tapos ibang points of view rin yung sa Western medicine.
Maganda nga kasi I was privileged to give talks to graduating medical students, saka mga postgraduate medical interns. So, ngayon pa lang, nabobroaden na yung isip nila to think beyond the box. Hindi lang kung anong tinuro, hook, line, and sinker should be swallowed. Tapos sabi, ano ba yan? Ano ba yung usog? Ano ba yung bate? Ano ba yung kulam? Ano ba yung ganyan? So, these are things that they have to open up them, but they have to prove it scientifically, complete with journal, citations. So this is the time. Pamantasan na Luzon, Manila is benefiting from it. Fatima, School of Medicine, FEU, UE.
So, I can find that in journals kung hahanapin ko how to connect all those spiritual stuff to to science talaga. There are journals written about it.
Meron, exactly. Meron naman.
Ang galing nun Lalo na pag Filipino ang nagsulat, syempre it's very close to our culture and close to our lifestyle as well.
Kasi basa ka ng basa Para ka rin si Grace. Hello, Grace. Basa din yan.
Actually, si Grace was the one who introduced Dr. Al to me. And iba si Grace. Ibang level yung pagbabasa niya.
Ibang tao. At ano ba yung alien ba yung tao na yan?
But that's really, that's amazing. When I think of it, I don't know if I could have done what you have, chosen in the past. But definitely, you're more at peace right now with all your choices, di ba?
Yeah. Wherever you are, be happy where you are. We're in the Philippines, we're happy here. Yung galing mo, sa galing ng ating viewers, dapat nasa abroad na rin sila. Ba't sila nasa Pilipinas? Because we're happy where we are here. The blessings are pouring in the Philippines.
It's true. I don't know if in your case ba, would you say that the level of consciousness of Filipinos are already high enough for them to be able to see the blessings and opportunities that's really abundant in this country?
If you provide people like this soul talk, yes.
Okay, unti-unti, syempre, di ba?
Kasi if you talk like that sa streets, medyo yung tama yung sabi mo, tataasan ka ng kilay. So it takes a homogeneous group like this soul talk people to share the knowledge together. Congrats for organizing this group.
Yes, I have my, of course, I wouldn't have done it without the encouragement and motivation from also my meditation group and of course kay Raid and my teacher. So that's something that I'm grateful for. But ito, kasi you're so, when you talk, it's not just the competence, it's not just the skills and talents that's really being shown. It also shows your confidence and the way you're firm in choosing a certain lifestyle that not everyone is comfortable with. Yun yung term eh. Not everyone is comfortable with what you're teaching. How do you stand firm to that truth, to that belief, despite all the opinions that could be generated outside?
Basta stick to where you believe on. Kasi nung bata-bata pa tayo, we need to impress other people. We started with our teachers, we need to impress them. Kasi ang grade mo is 100 kapag na-impress mo sila. So nagkaroon ng brainstorming ngayon. When the Spaniards came, si Father Damaso, tinuruan tayo na dapat sumunod ka sa mga turo niyan. Tapos we just bow to it. If you go beyond the box and look into how these things can teach us, then you just go on and practice what you think for yourself. If it expands, ripple effect. If it expands to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones, and my patients, and to the class that I'm handling, so it starts to expand. And so far, if you experiment on it, the truth about it comes out. Pare, mga speakers mo dito sa Santok, sa Soul Talk. Mga speakers mo, ganito sila ka-confident magsalita, naaliw ako makapakinggan. And they talk with sense. Yeah, congrats.
Pero ito, kasi I'm sure it hasn't been always this way. When you talk, you really have that authority, 'di ba? Yung parang papakinggan ka. Kasi right now you have that you have that gift now. You have that I would say magnetism and charm that when you talk, people would really listen. But when you were younger, was it that way then, or it has to be honed in such a way that you really gain strength out of it?
Hinihimay kasi, lahat ng topic kasi about, let's say, movement of the bituka, hinihimay yan. What is interesting to me, ba't nga ba one way lang ang direction ng bituka? So, yung mga ganong question, so I tend to read deeper into it, but you need to allow percentage of time. Kaya pagdating na ng exams, dating na yung mga topics na ito ang gamot, which is the indoctrination ng mga doktor natin ngayon. They are pharmacy doctors. Pag hindi nagpunta ka sa doktor at hindi ka naresetahan para hindi ka nagpunta sa doktor. For me, I went beyond that box. Ano ba yung beyond the medicine, ano ba pwede ko ituro sa pasyente? Kasi nga, DOH ako eh. Pag nag-reseta ako ng gamot, minsan nakatuwa nga lang yung pasyente lalo sa slum areas. Dok, anong gagawin ko dito? Ay, bibilhin ho niyan. Dok, wala akong pera. Naku po, patay. Kanya tas DSWD. para makatulong. So, I need to come out with something very practical that they can do bago sila maoperahan ng milyon-milyon na kanilang libo-libo ng kanilang kinita, mauubos lang sa pagpapa-opera. Baka naman meron pang iba. Yung gasgas nga na prevention is better than yung sinasabi universal healthcare na pinupush ng DOH, that can only happen, universal healthcare, health for all, only if we go for preventive medicine. Pero maraming alam naman, hindi naman nakikinig. Pero unless you tell them your hair is on fire, only then they would move. And how do I tell these people? Isa sa mga lecture ko is you press on certain points of the body. Pag masakit, compared with other points, that there's an internal organ that is challenged right now. Example, sinong madalas matapilok? Kasi there's a structure do sa ankles natin na humihina kapag natatapilok. Kasi equal yung road, tapos merong unpaved road, biglang natapilok, we can recover immediately kasi matibay yung structure ng ankles. Kung tuloy-tuloy na ano ka na, bubelta ka na, nahulog ka na, sabihin may weakness. And that tells us, pag madalas matapilok, something is wrong with your gallbladder. After all this Noche Buena, ang daming humina ang ankles ngayon because the gallbladder has been affected. And nakailang Noche Buena tayo. Hindi lang yung
more than one, definitely. Oo. More than the New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve, I'm sure.
We can have another sa next episode natin. I will press you what point. If I press on here at masakit, anong ibig sabihin yan? Pag press ko doon sa paa, sa likuran ng tuhod, o kaya mismo sa ankles, anong organ yan? So, it gives you now that early warning device. Ngayon, mapunta ka sa laboratory. Normal naman congrats, wala pang damage. Pero kung nag-coincide yung aking pressure, tapos yung pasyente ay nagkaroon laboratory mataas na SGOT, SGPT, naku, yung liver function mo, problemado na. And we discovered because pag press mo doon somewhere sa paa, masakit, sa liver mo yan, sa gallbladder mo yan. We can have that topic also next time.
Pero a lot of people are afraid to know the truth, ha? So they'd rather ignore it.
Totoo yan. Alam ko yan, may mga classmates ako Alam na nila na mali yung lifestyle. Yung medical classmates ko kasi, medyo hinay-hinay kami sa kainan, saka sa inuman. Pero yung high school ko, all boys pa man din yan, para bang binata pa rin ang buhay. Kaya nakakatakot. So for me, sa mga inuman ganyan events, makikisama lang ako. 1 beer. For me, 1 beer is enough sa ganyan social gathering. Tapos doon, yung susunod sila, nauuhaw. Ba sila nauuhaw? Because beer is a diuretic. Part of my lecture sa hydration. Beer is a diuretic. Kaya nauuhaw sila. Anong gagawin? Order pa, isa pang round. For me, what I will do is...
nauuhaw.
Lalo mauuhaw. What I will do is to request sa waiter ng hot water. Hot para dahan-dahan ko iniinom. Tapos habang nagkikwentuhan, I was drinking that. Kaya mas tingin sa akin ng waiter
Hindi ka nag-order ng beer. Pero as a doctor, okay, for both, you have combined both Western and Eastern naman di ba? Has it affected really you as a person? Parang how do you identify yourself then? Talagang as a doctor? Or is there someone else na parang si Al Lagaya without the doctor na
Pangalan ko Dr. Al. Doktor na Albulano pa.
Kaya pala, Al.
So with that concept, just to open the mind, and what are may mga maraming sinasabi ng pasyente Doc, yung nabate, nakulam yung pasyente ko. Ang gagawin ko dito? Western doctor ako. But only to look between the lines, baka naman hindi talaga kulam ito. If ever kulam talaga, then we know how to shield, we know how to protect the man. For those who are familiar with such shielding, you can apply it. Kontra kulam yan. Kontra COVID pa nga shield. Hindi face shield real shield.
Yes. Of course, prayers is the most powerful shielding.
So, prayers is when you talk to God, and meditation is God, when God talks back to you. Kaso busy tayo, nagte-text tayo, hindi natin naririnig. So we just need to be silent. Meditation yan in the Master Ray. Yan, maganda yan. It will if you do any forms of meditation, For me, open ako sa any forms eh. Prayers ng Catholic, prayers ng Muslim, prayers ng... These are powerful things.
Oo. Alam mo, with your answer, parang sinasabi mo, hindi ako mahihiwalay sa pagiging doktor. I'll always be the Dr. Albulario.
Yeah. Yeah. Kasi there's wisdom. We are supposed to be healer. Ang albularyo kasi is a healer. Manggagamot in sa Tagalog. But of course, the connotation of a doctor na dapat may kampanilya, nakakurbata, naka-white coat. Okay, isang ginagawa ko rin yung picture taking.
Pero ano, kasi I would assume that most of your time is really spent, doing talks, 'di ba? Teaching what you have learned in the years, and also helping your patients, 'di ba? Meron ka pa rin naman clinic hours. How do you take care of yourself and your family then? Kasi ako parang sineseparate ko pa kasi yung personal life sa sa professional and sa work life. In your case, do you separate it or have you integrated it into your overall lifestyle?
Basta para hindi ka lang mabato, we have variety. So my clinic is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, yung private clinic ko. But the government side and also the teaching sa mga residente is MWF. Kasama na yung mga pamantasan ng Luzon, Manila. Yan. So just for variety. Kaya ano yun. And time for myself, the Sunday is there. Minsan I do my walk. So, sa SM MOA, since Makati area ko, ang pinakamaganda gusto kong puntahan sa SM MOA. Makikita maraming mga pusang gala na lalapit lang sa akin. Of all the people na nandun sa akin, ba't na nandito?
Nakikita ang mo, energy mo.
Soul talk mo na nga eh. You don't even have to talk. Just by being present, di ba sa meditation, the group in itself creates an energy. Itong soul talk mo is one example. No? You create the energy. You don't even have to talk to each other. You would know. Ang aso, ang pusa, they would know kung ano ang nasa kalooban mo. Kung masaya ka o malungkot ka, they would know. Kaya that's the heart.
They have that intuition.
That intuition. They know it. Alam ka
Oo.
naman. Pero pag nasanay siya na ikaw nagbibigay ng pagkain, siyempre, ibang bagay na yan. Pero yung feeling that malungkot ka, lalapit siya, alam niya. Oh.
No. What can you share about? Kasi kanina sa talk, you mentioned that yung mga yuppies, habol, parang work talaga to make more wealth. And then those who are more on the elder side na, because they have already accomplished a lot of things, that's when they take care of their health, they focus on their spirituality naman. But in your case, kasi right now at this age, 'di ba, in this present moment, you're very happy with your work. You're at peace with all your past decisions, 'di ba? And you're also very wealthy. I mean, not just financially, but also in terms of all the opportunities and collaborations and other blessings na binibigay talaga ng divine. What insight could you share or what advice could you share so that, a person would also have that hope that kung hindi nila nafe-feel at this present moment yon, yung wealth, peace, and happiness, what advice could you give so that, we could feel it, and we could live that kind of life right now?
Yung aspiration natin to become wealthy is very subjective. Kasi we may be wealthy now, pero may mas mayaman sa atin, kiniinggitan pa rin tayo. Kaya ang statement ko lang doon is contentment. If you're contented where you are, you become happy. When I got my clinic dito sa Makati, my new clinic actually, and meron pa akong enough funds, so I'm ready now for what I will do with my life until I reach 100 years old and beyond. That's my everyday thing. Pero bumili na rin ako ng columbarium. Meaning, if it's already game over and the Lord calls for me, wala na akong iisipin pa na poproblemahin ng mga anak ko. I now have that columbarium that it will go. So, contentment is the key answer to such. So, you become wealthy if you think you are contented with whatever you have right now. Ang tanong dyan, marami tayong aspirations pa. There's bills to pay. Pero matutuwa ka eh. The answer just comes in minsan at the exact amount that you need it most. Dumarating hanggang sa centavo worth dumarating na lang. Galing ah. Coincidence? Or what? So you just pray for it and it comes. Yung meditation na ginagawa ninyo, yung na Master Ray, if all of us just do our own simple meditation, para bang ang smooth ng buhay. Pero kung di ba, if you look into the river, you cannot see the moon if the water is disturbed. Kaya you need to calm the mind. Ganun din sa patient. The first thing I do with my patient, patong lang yung kamay ko, parang ginagawa ng mga Reiki people, di ba? Nakapatong lang doon. So that's the first thing I do with my patient, nakadapa sila. And then I tune in. Connecting sa kanyang guardian angel with my guardian angel. Oy, boss, turo mo nga ako at ano ba sakit nito? So mamaya, you're being led to it. The hands just go. It stays where you need. You have to stay there longer. Divine guidance. Thy will be done.
I agree with that.
Alam mo, thy will be done sa Christians, ano? Thy will be done. Sa Muslim, it's inshallah. So again, God willing. Pero ang sa mga katutubo natin is bathala na. Which na coin ngayon na na-adulterate naging bahala na. Pero sa to, it's bathala na. So parang Hindu rin na bathala. So yung mga katutubo natin, bathala na. Pinapa sa Diyos na lang. So pag may umaway sa atin, Diyos, bahala ka na. Boss, bahala ka na sa kanya.
So, yun pala yung origination ng bahala na. That's good to know. It's coming from a very spiritual side of Filipinos din pala.
But Allah. Kaya when I was in Israel, yung aking mentor na Hudyo, ayaw ko tawaging Dr. Al. Tawag siya sa akin Dr. Alfonso. Kasi Allah kalaban nila eh. Hudyo sila eh. Allah is Muslim. Okay, call me Alfonso if you want to.
Interesting ha. Pero right now, with all the work that you have done, kasi you're now contented na as what you have mentioned earlier, are there still some things that you'd want to do for society?
If it comes, yes. Marami mga projects naman. Quirino Memorial has asked me to establish nga yung clinic that we can, more of training of doctors and other healthcare professionals so that we can expand this knowledge to them. And Quirino is fast track mo yun. Ganun din sa Hospital ng Maynila. Kaya yung mga, pero tanong natin sa mga viewers natin ngayon, what if an angel in our sleep will tell us, "Oy, anak, you have 24 hours before I pick you up. What will you do?" Ikaw nga, Michelle, tanongin kita.
Matutulog ulit.
Alam ko yun, nabasa ko yan sa Facebook eh. Pag binigyan ka ng 1 million, anong gagawin ng Pinoy? Matutulog daw ulit para bumalik ulit another 1 million. Anyway, ang joke dyan, the wise man will just, tama yung sagot mo, will just go on with what you always do. Dumating, may project ka, okay, it comes. Hindi matuloy, okay lang. So, you just go on with an everyday thing as a challenge until game over. So, yun. Kaya ang goal ko either tomorrow or any second now is game over, or game over is after 100 years old. So, ready na ako on both aspect. I have my columbarium and I have my clinic to be of silbi sa madlang people.
Oh. So the legacy that you're trying to leave behind is really to allow the medical practitioners here in the Philippines to think out of the box pa, na hindi parang kung ano yung binigay sa'yo, yan na yan. Yung, the term you use is, pharmacy doctors. Tama ba?
Pharmaceutical doctor.
Pharmaceutical doctors. Okay. It's so easy naman kasi to reseta.
Pero the effect,
ang bilis. Ang bilis.
Oo, mabilis. Oo. Kaso, bumabalik ang sakit. Okay, magtiyaga lang magturo. Tulad nitong discussion natin. Kasi, kaya sumasakit likod mo. panay ang hilata mo sa sofa habang nanonood ka ng 2 movies ng Netflix per day, per night. Okay, sumasakit. Kahit na gaano ka-effective ng mga gamot, mga kulaksik, mga coxibs, mga ganyan. Kahit na gaano ka-effective yan, baliwala yan kung hindi mo modify. Ang isang pasyente ko, 3 level eh. So level 1, I do lifestyle check and acupuncture to hasten. Hindi pa rin. So level 2 is medication. Hanggang sa gamot na maraming side effects, sinisigmura na, or namamanas na ang katawan, yung mga steroids or what, o kaya mga epidural anesthesia, yung level na yan. Level 3 is surgery. I've gone to all those 3 levels na during my training. And I'll rather stick to the first one because you empower the patient to heal themselves. And that's what I'm teaching now the younger age group doctors.
Where would you think it's better to teach the doctors or the population themselves, the patients?
True. Marami nagre-request sa akin mga allied health and other non-health. So, kaya example si Grace, nag-aral sa akin yan eh. So, during that time, I was doing it. Pero sabi ko nga, with the limited time I have, then focus lang muna ako. And then, what happens kasi, the doctor is the captain of the ship. Kapag tinuruan mo yung lower niya at hindi mo tinuruan yung doktor, yun mismo ang aaway doon sa tinuruan mong non-doktor. So
yeah, that's what I heard nga ngayon during pandemic when the patient is also seeking an alternative to the protocols. Ayun. Hindi nakikinig ang doktor kasi the doctor has a certain meron talaga silang kailangan sundin. Hindi sila pwede mag-deviate. So parang
example yung SOB. So naging controversial, naging political yan sa Cebu. Nagkaroon ng issue. Nagkampihan ngayon yung medical profession with the doctor na nilait versus the politician. Pero if you look beyond the politics of it, the truth of SOB is effective to prevent the progression of the disease. Kasi heat kills the virus along with other things, virgin coconut oil, etc. So kung anong gamot man nag-aaway dyan, marami nag-uumpog gamot ngayon dyan eh. Marami mga vested interest. So hindi ka napapasukan yan. Basta for the prevention of all of us, steam inhalation, drink your plenty of warm water sa labat or what, take your VCO, then malaking palaban na natin against COVID.
Simple as that, di ba? No, sa labat. So thank you so much kasi we have taken so much of your time. Pero Dr. Al, open kayo ng podcast or ng so that you would you could reach so much more people when you have your own kahit audio show or talk show, di ba?
Dami na nagsabi sa akin ng ganyan eh. I have materials to introduce pero that's another discipline I need to get into. Sige nga, gawin natin, Michelle.
Sige, tingnan natin how. Let's see. Kasi madali lang, promise. Hindi siya, it's not so hard. Before when I started this program, I thought it was very overwhelming kasi I had so many things that I'm doing and then dadagdag pa ito. But then, when I did it little by little, just choose the simplest ways of doing things, it's not so hard din pala. I can incorporate it easily into my daily life, daily routine. So kaya talaga. It can be done.
Pwede sa mga Jurassic mindset ha.
Hindi, kailangan niya lang ng partner who could yung mabilisan lang.
Parang tinuruan ko sa akin paano gawin ito. Nagkatumugma naman.
Yeah, but thank you so much. I love what you have talked about and what you have shared to us. And of course, I can clearly see the values that you have and the yung firm foundations that really allowed you to grow into this person that you are right now. And thank you so much for creating this change in the medical field. Sometimes we don't see it so much kasi parang maliit lang yung impact. But then, these are seeds that are being planted and that goes a long way. So thank you so much for your contribution to the medical field and of course to the Filipino people. Inaangat nyo nga sobra kanina. Sabi ko, "Uy, okay to." Parang he loves the Filipinos so much. And I love it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. And, I would really be glad to collaborate with you. So let's see where this goes.
Good. Thank you so much to and for all those who listened, for staying put, na nakadiretso pa rin ang likod hanggang ngayon. Congratulations. So all of us will reach 100 years old. Basta yung balato ko, huwag niyong kakalimutan. Ay, ang ruling ko sa balato, you need to give it to me personally. Hindi pwedeng ipapaabot sa kasambahay. Personally.
Ganon. Bawalang grab.
Bawalang grab. Gcash. Wala bawal yun. Dapat personal. Ang isang challenge din dyan ay I should be present, healthy also, to accept it. So, if it's a deal, we'll see you in 100 years old.
Wag naman 100 years. Grabe naman yun. But thank you so much. And for the favorite ones who are watching this live and for those who are going to watch this on the replay inside the group or in YouTube, I pray that you have gained so much wisdom from Dr. Al. And I could give his contact details if you wish to get in touch with him and, ask for his services. And of course, I wish you all well. Remember that you're highly favored and truly, truly blessed. Even if we're in a tropical country, we truly are blessed. Talaga, we just have to see the goodness in certain situations for us to really feel that blessing, that gift, and of course, that favor of God. So wishing you all well and thank you so much once again. Thank you so much, Doc Al.